I could feel the disquiet growing. At first, it was mild annoyance, but that changed quickly, as I rapidly approached anger. Yeah, I admit watching him walk into our Christmas party I was impressed. He had been my idol since I was younger, and just getting into computers. He was self-made, his whole empire built on his ability as a programmer and designer. When he walked in with a gorgeous woman on his arm, I was blown away. I didn't think I had ever seen a woman like her. She was tall and graceful, poured into the long gold figure-hugging gown that flowed cascading over her luscious body like liquid metal. God damn, she was stunning, I mean really stunning. Even my wife, Kayla, sucked in a sharp intake of breath as she ran an admiring eye up and down the vision. Her hair, long and blonde, seemed to shimmer under the fluorescent lights. Her makeup was perfect. She didn't so much walk in, as glide sensuously like a stalking feline. Graceful, that didn't measure up. Far more beautiful than any movie star or celebrity, damn it, she was gorgeous. Kayla nudged me hard in the ribs. Stop it, Luke, you're making a fool of yourself. Robin Morse, the self-made billionaire, who was a small shareholder in the company I worked for, was actually there at our Christmas party. When it was mentioned by our management that he might show up, none of us believed it. We weren't even the dirt under his shoes. Still, there he was. The chatter started straight away at our little table. Simon, the company owner, loved to drop the story about how he went to college with Morse, they were buddies, and Morse actually funded Simon to start up the company. We all watched in awe as Morse and his date sat with Simon, his wife, and the other members of the board at their big table. The women at our table started rabbiting on about Morse, how debonair and handsome he was. Granted, we all felt a bit like that. He was an amazing dude. It was a legend how he dropped out of college, started his own company, and now he was head of one of the world's largest digital media organizations. He broke down the status quo and did things his way. He followed no path, he cut his own, and there he was right in front of us. I had watched myriads of videos of him at presentations and product launches. He was pretty incredible. Why was I becoming angry? Well, for the last hour he had totally dominated my wife. He appeared from nowhere, leaned between Kayla and I, stuck out his arm and said to her, "Would you like to dance?" She never even glanced at me. She gave him the big goo-goo eyes and off they went, where they still were. She nestled closely against him, much closer than was respectable, his hand resting on her curvy ass. Kayla and I had been married for 3 years. She was the love of my life. When I thought about her, I couldn't believe I had been lucky enough to bag her. She might not have been in the same league as Morse's date, okay, not many women on the planet could measure up to that. Kayla was attractive, though. Her long wavy bright red hair showed off her deep emerald green eyes. Kayla was more the girl next door, rather than a striking beauty, but I loved her with all my heart, and I thought she was beautiful. We were friends, long before we dated. We met, as a lot of couples do, at college. She studied interior design, and I studied computer science. We didn't hit it off immediately. I was a bit of a geek, she was definitely one of the in crowd, who I hated for their shallow superficial behavior. Still, here we were 4 years later. I was a young programmer, and she was an employee at Lavish, an interior design house. Watching them glide around the dance floor annoyed the shit out of me. The fact he didn't even ask me, just went straight for her, pissed me off. The tittering at the table irked me as well. A couple of the women commenting on how lucky Kayla was, right there in front of me, forced me into action. I marched straight out onto the dance floor and patted him rather heavily on the shoulder. "Sorry, bud, I'm cutting in." He gave me a flippant sort of, "Who the fuck are you, look?" Kayla appeared to be waking from a trance. She smiled warmly. "Hey, Luke." I pulled her into my arms, dismissing Morse as if he wasn't there. She gave me a funny glare. "What are you doing? You don't usually dance at these things. You always said you hated this stuff." Sucking in a deep breath, I muttered uncomfortably. "Yeah, well, I didn't expect my wife to spend the night with another guy either." She leaned close, her breasts crushing against me, her head resting on my chest. She giggled, "Are you jealous?" No, more pissed off that you didn't even ask me, just danced off with Morse, as if I wasn't even there. She saw the irritation and whispered, "Sorry, that was pretty rude." In my defense, I was just so surprised. "It's done now, let's just enjoy the rest of the evening." She snuggled in closer. "Yes, sure, let's have fun." We hardly danced before the band took a break. I escorted Kayla back to our table. The moment we sat down, she was swamped with questions. What was he like? Was he charming? What did they talk about? They gushed as Kayla related her short adventure. The food was served soon after, and we all talked about the holidays and what we had planned. The drinks flowed, and my bad mood was soon forgotten. Kayla seemed extra excited, although I did notice she kept taking furtive little glances across at the big table. The dirty plates disappeared, fresh drinks appeared, the band had restarted, and we were talking when I felt presence behind me. I turned to see the gorgeous sexy creature Morse walked in with, leaning between Kayla and I. She spoke to Kayla first. "Hi, I'm Candace, would you mind if I asked your husband to dance?" Kayla looked shell-shocked. No, go right ahead," she spluttered. Candace glanced sideways at me. "Would you care to dance?" In my entire life, a gorgeous sexy woman had never once asked me to dance. In fact, no woman had ever asked me to dance. It engaged my brain, and I didn't like what it threw up. "No thanks, I only dance with my wife." Her happy smiley demeanor disappeared and she looked unsettled. Understandably, she was probably not used to being turned down. "Have a good night then," she replied hesitantly. Kayla just stared at me. The guys at the table all looked at me like I was an idiot. Kayla gasped, "Luke, that was horribly rude." She just wanted a dance. I tried to make light of it. "Hey, I just wanted to save my dances for you." "What's the problem?" She shook her head disbelievingly. "We could have still danced, you didn't have to be rude." One of the guys who I didn't know so well, across the table, said loudly. "Yeah, dude, if you didn't want to, why didn't you tell her to ask me?" His wife laughed. As if. We settled into a little conversation before the presence was again between Kayla and me. It was Morse. This time he reached out his hand to shake mine. "Hi, I'm Rogan Morse." "Look, sorry about earlier, pal. That was pretty rude of me. I should have asked you if I could dance with your beautiful wife." As we shook hands, I watched Kayla blush brightly. "No problem, dude. All forgiven." He smiled, and I'll give him credit, it was a totally disarming smile, probably won him plenty of friends over the years. He stared directly at me, his eyes piercing. "Would you mind if I asked her for another dance?" Like Candace, he probably doesn't get turned down very often. Actually, dude, we were saving our dances for each other. As the words spilled out of my mouth, I noticed Kayla was already pushing her chair back in preparation for standing. My words stalled her, and her weight shifted back into the seat. "Surely one dance wouldn't hurt, would it, pal? The night is young." Kayla beat me to it. She stood quickly and pushed past me. She leaned down and kissed my cheek. "I'll be back soon, babe." Without further fuss, they were gone in a swirl of her green taffeta gown. They fell into an easy embrace as they glided around. He was a good dancer, that was for sure. Again though, it was much too intimate, and it bugged me. "Greg," one of the guys at the table sniggered, "I think he's got the hots for your wife, pal." That brought about some giggles and titters. "Lucky bitch," one of the girls said. I actually waited 2 dances before I stood and marched towards the dance floor. The floor was full, and just as I was about to walk into the huddle of swirling silk, velvet, and taffeta, I got a touch on my shoulder. "Looks like you're free for that dance now." I turned to find Candace standing with a sweet smile. "Sorry, Candace, I was just about to dance with my wife." "But hey, that will free up Rogan, you can dance with him." I went to walk away into the throng of partygoers. "Luke, please don't do that. Dance with me." There was a firm tone to her statement. I felt her hand gripping my shoulder. "I did say please." She smiled wanly. "We can talk while we dance." I turned back to see Kayla add Morse, totally oblivious to our interaction. Giving me no chance to argue, her gorgeous lithe body slid in close, her hands clasping mine. "Good Lord, I'm not going to bite," she whispered whimsically. We moved into the swaying bodies, hers close to mine. "All right, Candace, why did you want to dance with me? Aren't you worried about your boyfriend's behavior?" "Firstly, he's not my boyfriend, just a casual date." She moved closer, her sexy body sheathed in the shiny cascading liquid before she added, "I wanted to find out a little about you." "Bullshit," I sneered. "All right then, smarty pants, why do you think I'm here in your arms? So Morse can dance with my wife. I just want to know what his game is." I felt her tighten a little, a certain tenseness. She didn't reply. I stopped and let her hands go. "Guess our dance is over then." I went to move away and she grabbed me and pulled on my hands. "Okay, dance with me." We slipped back into the groove and she snuggled close, her body writhing seductively against me. "All right, Luke, you're right. Rogan asked me to dance with you." "Why?" I asked. "He likes Kayla and wants time to talk to her." "Why?" I asked again. "Because he likes her." "Luke, this is a game Rogan plays. If Kayla is accepting and likes Rogan, he will ask her to go home with him." "What the fuck?" I spluttered. We came to a stop and other dancers bumped into us. I stared at her evilly, "And you're okay with that?" She shrugged. I turned away quickly and walked over to interrupt Rogan and Kayla. This time I wasn't polite. I slapped him harshly on the back. They both looked up surprised. "Let's go, Kayla." I had to grab her arm and pull her into my arms. "Luke, what are you doing?" "Dancing with my wife." "You were very rude. Why are you being so possessive?" "Because Candace just told me Morse was about to ask you to go home with him." She tensed up as we swept away from Morse, who stood there for a second before Candace slipped into his arms. "What were you talking about?" I asked, struggling to keep the accusatory tone from my voice. "Nothing much, the usual stuff." He asked about my dreams and aspirations. "Our life, about you." "Did he ask you to go home with him?" "No, don't be ridiculous." "Why would you say that?" "Because Candace said that's what he does. It's a game he plays, apparently." "Game? What are you talking about?" "I don't know, it's what she said." "Well, I don't know why she said that, but he was really nice." "Really nice, just an ordinary guy, not stuck up or anything." "Well, I would prefer you stay out of his way. No more dancing with him." "Luke, you're being silly, he didn't do anything." I don't know why Candace said something like that. She must be incredibly jealous or insecure. I stopped and dragged her back to the table. She didn't fight me, but I sensed a reluctance. Back at the table, the women were straight back on top of Kayla with the interrogation. The guys, I think, felt for me and kept their opinions to themselves. I was swallowed up with doubts, and started to feel like a conspiracy theorist. A waiter arrived at our table with a couple of bottles of champagne. "Wow, you guys are going all out, huh?" I asked. The waiter leaned closer. "This is from Mr. Morse." He started pouring glasses for everyone. When he got to my glass, I put my hand over the top. "Not for me, thanks." He gave me a quizzical glare before walking away. "Why did you do that, Luke?" "You love champagne?" Kayla questioned. "I want nothing from him." She shook her head with a scoffing huff. She and the others shared a toast, and the conversation went back to Morse and what he was like. It would have been about 20 minutes later when a very well-dressed man appeared at our table. He approached from behind and leaned in between Kayla and me. "Mr. Morse has invited you to join him at their table." Kayla glanced at me and started to get up. I held out my hand. "Where are you going?" "Luke, Rogan asked us to join him." "It would be rude not to." "I don't care if it's rude or not." "We're not going." The guy leaned in again. He was quite insistent. I don't care, tell him we're busy. He sighed deeply and walked away. Luke, what has got into you tonight? You are behaving like a child. Maybe, but that guy is pissing me off. Bro, you don't want to get on the wrong side of the boss, Bill snapped. He's not my boss. Dude, don't look now, but he's talking to Simon at the moment. I felt my guts do a backflip. Sure enough, moments later Simon was at our table. He leaned in close between Kayla and me. Luke, Kayla, I would like you both to come and join us at the main table, please. It was not a suggestion or invitation. It was an instruction. Kayla stood quickly, grabbing her clutch and grabbed my hand. Come on, Luke, don't be sulky. Reluctantly, I stood up and walked with her up to the table. As we moved around by where Simon directed, I moved between him and Kayla and took the seat beside Morse, forcing Kayla to sit on my other side beside Candace. Morse and Simon gave me a frown as I sat down. Hey, Luke. Morse said with a warmth not evident in his actions. Simon tells me you're the main man down in programming? I shrugged. I'm just part of the team. He speaks very highly of you. He tells me you design video games in your spare time? I play around, nothing special. Have you sold any? No, not really. Would you like to? I might, but not at the moment, just doing my bit with the team. Is that where you see yourself in the future? Part of the team is your goal? His tone was disdainful, judgmental. I have ideas and plans, just not prepared to share them with you. Is there a reason for that? He asked, a bitterness creeping into his tone. I glanced at Kayla, who was deep in conversation with Candace. I leaned towards him, so nobody else would hear. Because you're trying to seduce my wife, that's why. He nodded, accepting my words. Ah, I see. And that upsets you? Of course it does. Jesus man, don't be a dick. Luke, I like Kayla, and yes, I would like it if she accompanied me home tonight. His voice didn't even waver, he was calm and to the point, like he was asking me to pass the salt. Fuck you, Morse, just because you have money, you think you can buy anything. Some things are not for sale. Everything's for sale, Luke, but I'm not trying to buy her. I will hopefully make her an offer, an invitation. I hope when I do, she takes me up on it. He turned away from me and talked in hushed tones to Simon. I watched as Simon looked on a knowing smirk on his face. He stood up and came up behind me. Luke, can we talk in private for a minute, please? Not right now, Simon. We aren't at work. Luke, this is important. He leaned over to Kayla. You won't mind if Luke and I go and have a chat, would you? She shrugged. No, go for it. He gestured for me to follow him. Luke, I don't know what's going on, but Rogan wants me to make you an offer. How would you feel about taking a role in our design team? Why would you make that suggestion tonight, right now? He sighed. Because Rogan and I talked earlier, he thinks you'd be perfect for the role. Bullshit, he doesn't even know me. This is about him trying to fuck my wife. I saw the smirk widen. Luke, this could be good for your career, dude. The salary increase is about 30%. Simon, I'm getting nervous. Are you telling me you're happy offering me a promotion just so that douchebag can fuck my wife? Luke, dude, it's nothing like that. Bullshit, it's exactly like that. I flicked his hand off my shoulder and turned brusquely, walking back to the table. When I got there, Kayla and Morse were gone. I stared out at the dance floor and they were out there again, and closer than ever. Candace patted the seat beside her. Sit with me, Luke. I flopped in the chair. What the fuck is going on here? Luke, Rogan is a strange guy, he loves this shit. He is going to ask Kayla to go with him for the night. You're not being left out. If you like, I will be keeping you company for the night. What? I gasped in shock. She seemed so calm. Luke, I am an escort, a very expensive escort. If you would like my company for the night, I would be very pleased to spend the night with you. Escort. She nodded. That's right. Rogan and I are old acquaintances. I often accompany him to events. So he can fuck other men's wives? She sniggered. No, not always. That only happens when he meets somebody he likes. Look, Luke, Kayla will have a wonderful night. Rogan is a wonderful lover. She will not be disappointed, and the same goes for you. Holy shit, you're serious. I spluttered. Luke, don't get all twisted and bitter. This could be a fun night for all of us. If Rogan is such a great lover, why are you so keen to trade him off? Because he's my friend, and he asked me to. I sat there staring at Kayla and Rogan circulating. My mind was in free fall. Nothing made sense. Kayla, we'll never go for it, I spat out. I wouldn't bet on that, Luke. Rogan can be very persuasive, he is a great guy, and a wonderful lover. Jesus. I breathed out haltingly. Candace moved closer, she snuggled up beside me. Luke, come and dance with me. If you're confident about Kayla, then all that's going to happen is some dancing. A pleasant evening. If you are right about her, then in a very short time, Rogan is going to get a slap across the face. You don't want to miss that, do you? She led me out onto the dance floor. She tugged me into her open arms and we danced. The music was slow and slinky. Her boobs, obviously braless, crushed against my chest. She rested her head on my shoulder, her mouth wafting hot moist air across my neck. Luke, I would love to spend the night with you. I couldn't speak, my mind was mush, nothing made sense, I couldn't process what was happening. This was movie shit, stuff like this doesn't happen in real life. Luke, do you know how much a night with me costs? No, I mumbled incoherently. She giggled. $10,000. Holy shit, I gushed. If I was disbelieving before, now I was totally speechless. I'm very good at what I do, Luke. How often do you get together with Morse? He and I get together most times he comes to town. Like I said, we are old friends. And it costs him 10 grand a pop? No, we are friends. He doesn't pay every time. What about tonight? Tonight is costing him big time. What do you mean by that? Luke, I don't always agree with what he does. For this, he pays extra. How much? She took a playful nibble on my ear. That's between him and me, babe. All you have to do is enjoy the ride, and I promise, you will enjoy. We danced some more, and I kept staring at Kayla, waiting, hoping for the slap. Please, my mind screamed. Tell him to fuck off. Candace writhed a lit. Lou, her hot body rubbing against me. What do you think I'm wearing under this dress, Luke? I don't know. She reached behind herself and placed my hands on her butt. Feel any panty lines, Luke? Her words were more a breathless whisper. No, I stuttered. That's because under this dress, I'm naked, and it's all yours. I tried to steady my racing heart. At the rate it was beating, I was about to take 20 years off my life. Swirling around the other dancers, I couldn't help but stare at Kayla. Come on, babe, slap the bastard, I pleaded quietly, my mind willed her, urged her. Candace nibbled on my ear, it was sexy and hard to ignore. I felt an erection building, and it was now noticeable to Candace as well. HHHHHMMM, like that do you, babe? At that moment I noticed Morse and Kayla walking back to the table, his hand firmly on her but as he guided her. I pushed Candace away and strode purposefully to the table, as well. They were seated together, and I had no option but to sit beside her. They were deep in conversation as I sat down. I'm not sure she even noticed. I grabbed her shoulder and tugged so she had to turn and look at me. Her face went bright red and she dropped her eyes, unable to hold my gaze. Have a good dance, did you? I hissed. She went to say something, but the words obviously dried up in her mouth. It was moving but no words fell out. She just stared at me. Well, did he ask you? She looked embarrassed, guilty, ashamed even, she just nodded. What did you say? Luke, The words dried up, a little tear appeared. I didn't say anything. I see, so a man asks you to go home with him and you don't say anything. Jesus, I don't believe you. Luke, could we go somewhere and talk? Somewhere private. We stood together and walked towards the toilets. We stopped and she turned to stare at me, only inches apart she gripped my hands that hung loosely by my side. Luke, it blindsided me. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know what to say. What did he say? I snapped viciously. She sighed, it was deep and she looked down at the floor guiltily. You were right. He wants me to go with him. Fucking dick, I growled. Luke. She whispered breathlessly. He said Candace was going to go with you. It would be like a swap. You wouldn't be alone. Oh my God, it sounds like you're actually considering it. She winced painfully. No, not really, it shocked me when he said she would be with you. I let the burning anger show, with a snarl. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not sleeping with her. She looked stunned. Really? She is very pretty. For God's sake, Kayla, she's a fucking hooker. I'm not paying for sex. You wouldn't be paying. Rogan said he was covering all the costs. I laughed. Not paying for it. I snorted. I would be selling you. Do you want to be a hooker? Luke, honey, it's not like that. Candace seems lovely. Oh yeah, for a fucking hooker. I think we should leave immediately. I'm sick of this. I turned to walk away and she stood rooted to the spot. Luke, slow down, please. Can we talk about this? What's to talk about? Well, we could treat it as an adventure. A once-in-a-lifetime thing. You are considering it, I spluttered angrily. She sighed, taking a deep breath. Yes, all right, I was considering it. Oh, that's just great. Well, I tell you this much. I'm not interested in what he's selling. We're leaving. She couldn't look me in the eye, her voice wavered as she tried to get the words out. What if I said I wanted to do this? I would say, it's been nice knowing you, and I'll see you again sometime. She stared back horrified. Are you serious? You would walk away from our marriage? Yes, I'm not into that sort of thing. What's more, I didn't think you were, either. Luke, he said we could take his jet, go to Mexico, he has a holiday place down there. Then fly to Costa Rica. It sounds incredible, his own jet, Luke. It could be a real adventure. Yeah, and all you have to do to make it happen is fuck him. You make it sound like I'm selling myself. You are, aren't you? A trip in his jet for a dirty fuck. Sounds like prostitution to me. Luke, he's really nice. He reminds me of you, just a bit older. We are nothing alike, he's nothing but a salacious womanizing douchebag. Kayla, we can walk away right now. Just go and get your purse and we'll walk away like none of this ever happened. She moved slowly, fidgeting. Her weight moving from foot to foot as she stared at the floor. Luke. You want to do it? Luke. Don't judge me. You could have an adventure as well. Candace is pretty spectacular. Doesn't interest me, Kayla. She's just a hooker, nothing more, just a cheap hooker. Hardly cheap, she snorted. He told you how much she charges? She nodded guiltily. Luke, she must be really good. God, 10 grand. Yeah, she probably throws in herpes and VD at no charge. Her face exploded in shock at my nasty snarl. That was uncalled for. She seems really nice. For a hooker. God knows who she fucks. She, and for that matter he, could be carrying anything. I glared at her. Please come on, Kayla, let's just get out of here. Leave them to their twisted games. Games? She replied, what do you mean? He does this all the time, according to Candace. It's a game he plays. Finds some sucker and then seduces his wife. He gets off on humiliating the poor bastard. How is it humiliating? Oh, for God's sake, Kayla. All my work colleagues are here. My boss helped him set it up. Look around, we are the center of attention. Everybody is talking about us. You think I could work with these guys after that? They would all be laughing their heads off at me. Why, for heaven's sake? You would be with Candace. If anything, I think they would all be envious. She sighed, resignation creeping into her voice. You're not into it. Okay then, let's leave. I actually thought you might be into it. Robin said you and Candace were going to his yacht. I'll get my clutch and we'll leave. Thank God. I exhaled loudly. Finally, some sense. She grimaced as we walked back to the table. Candace and Robin were seated side by side talking conspiratorially. They saw us approaching and Candace got up to allow us to sit down. I put my hand on her shoulder. Stay where you are, we're leaving. Oh shit, don't do that, Luke. You're making a mistake, Honorable. Kayla reached out to the table to pick up her purse. Morse stared up at her. What are you doing? She smiled thinly. We're leaving. Sorry, Rogan. He muttered something under his breath before standing up. Sit, let me talk with Luke for a minute. She looked back over her shoulder at me before sitting down next to Candace. Morse gripped my upper arm. Luke, let's talk. He stood up and we walked to a spot by the bar. Luke, why are you making this so difficult? Kayla was looking forward to a little adventure. I made sure you would have company. What is the matter with you? Simon offered you the promotion. You think you can buy me off with a cheap hooker and a miserable promotion? Get real, Morse, you douche. We are talking about my wife. Yes, we are, and she was more than happy with the arrangement. Luke, think of this as a wife swap. Candace is not a hooker, and she is certainly not cheap. She has agreed to spend the whole weekend with you. I suggested you might like to use my yacht. It's out in the harbor and it is ready to go. Jesus, Rogan, are you so used to getting what you want, you can't accept no? We are talking about my wife, not a hooker. Candace can do what she wants. You pay her. Kayla is my wife, and she's not for sale. I pushed his hand away and pushed past him. When I got back to the table, Candace and Kayla were chatting secretively. There was a little laughter and giggling. That is, until Kayla saw me. She looked up cringing, the hint of a smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. Come on, Kayla. Let's go. Candace heard and said, Luke, you're not thinking, honey. Why not sit down and think carefully before you act rashly? What's to think about? We're leaving. Luke, at the moment, you're letting your wounded ego control your thinking. You're letting your anger control your reaction. This could be a fun weekend for us all. Nobody loses, nobody is cheating. We are four adults having a little fun. Babe, I promise, you will not regret it. I am totally yours, in every way physically possible. Her raised eyebrows accentuating what she meant. Kayla said, Luke, she's right. Don't just say no because you think that is what you have to. We are all adults. With my mind in a total tailspin, I flopped down in the chair and Rogan said, That's the way, dude. Sit there, I'll get us all a drink. Candace kept piling on the pressure. Luke, a lot of men with low self-esteem and insecurity issues would say no, because that's what they think they have to say. Don't turn down a chance to have a great adventure. The yacht is incredible, we could go anywhere. Rogan returned with a tray full of drinks. He placed them down in front of us all. Is whiskey okay, dude? I looked at the glass sitting in front of me. He seemed to be pushing it on me. No thanks, I have to drive. No you don't, Luke. You and Candace can take my limousine. No thanks, I don't want a drink. Wow, dude, if ever I have seen a man who needs a drink it is you, bud. I pushed mine towards him. If you need a drink, you drink it. He glared at me. Do you think I have drugged your drink? I shrugged. If it's good, you drink it. Wow, you have some serious trust issues, my friend. He reached out, picked up my drink and swallowed it in one long gulp. Happy now? I shrugged. I didn't want it anyway. Kayla shook her head. Luke, you're acting crazy. Whiskey is your favorite drink. You love it. I don't take drinks from assholes. Wow, you are one angry man, Luke. Morse groaned in despair. Look, man, this is good for all of us. Yo. You get your promotion, a huge pay raise, and the chance to sleep with the most expensive woman in town. Candace is the best, and I mean the best. I sneered, she can't be that damn good. You're giving her away. I'll give him his dues, he didn't get angry, he stayed calm and in the moment. Luke, I have enjoyed the delights of Candace many times. She is a wonderfully sensuous, sexy creature, and I'm not joking when I say she is the best. Candace giggled playfully. Thank you, Rogan. He lifted his own drink and sipped. Are you sure you don't want one, bud? Nope. I stood up and said. Let's go, Kayla, the air in here is foul. Luke, please, I would like to do this. I was sick of the argument. I couldn't stop her. Not without physically tying her up. Fine, you want to go with the douchebag, then do it. Have a great weekend. I hope he's worth it because when you get home, I won't be there. I turned and walked off. I was out in the cool night air before I knew it. Sucking in a deep breath, I walked around the side of the building to the car park. I was just about to slide my key in the lock when I felt a hand settle over mine. Luke, he wasn't joking. We can take the limo. Have you ever had sex in a limo? It is wild, there's a full bar, as well. Candace, I hope you don't lose your commission, but I'm not interested. Honey, I get paid whether you spend the weekend together with me or not. I'm doing this because I want to. You're letting your ego and anger rule your thinking. I feel sorry for you. I unlocked the driver's door and climbed in. Go home, Candace. Luke, I like you, I wasn't trying to trick you when I said I wanted to spend the weekend with you. I don't have to be here. I'm doing this because I want to, because I think we could have an incredible adventure. Have you ever been on a big yacht? Candace, I have some self-respect. I'm not looking for a mercy fuck from you. Let's be honest, if Morse hadn't paid for your services, you wouldn't even take a second look at me. You're right, Luke, I wouldn't. That's the way things are. We travel in different circles. That doesn't mean this has anything to do with mercy. I like you. Don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Kayla is going with Rogan, you can either go home and cry in your beer, or come with me, ride in a limo, sail on a yacht and have the best sex you have ever had in your life. Pretty sure of yourself, aren't you? I said contemptuously. Luke, I have a lot of recommendations, would you like to see some? Candace, I'm not going home to cry in my beer as you so eloquently said. I'm going home to see if there's any reason for me to hang around. Kayla just destroyed our marriage, wrecked my job and took away my self-esteem. What I'm going to do is go home, have a beer and decide on what to do. Luke, you're not thinking straight. You are just letting your anger run the ship. Come with me, I promise, you'll enjoy it. Don't let Kayla have all the fun. I slammed the door. Have a good life, Candace, you seem like hiding somewhere beneath this cold exterior, breathes a nice person. I hope someday she comes out to play. I drove off feeling nauseous and angry. Not a good mix. If this was the sort of life Kayla wanted for us, then we were definitely on different roads. Luckily, we had no children, no real possessions, she had her car, I had mine. We only rented, we had some furniture, but none of it was of any real value. Most of my money was tied up in computer gear. I could load it in the car and be gone by morning. Simon could go fuck himself. Dirty stinking motherfucker. By the time I got home, the anger was funneling through my veins at a furious rate. Unplugging all my computer gear, I loaded it in the back of my old Blazer. I took the printer, all the files, even the desktop, because it had stuff on it I had been working on, and I couldn't be bothered downloading. Then it was just a matter of throwing all my clothes in cases and boxes, grabbing my surfboards and hitting the road. As I headed out of town, I saw an ATM light flashing. We didn't have a lot of money, but what we did have, I took. It would keep me going for a few days. As I was about to reverse out, the limo pulled up, blocking the driveway. Candace saw all my stuff piled in the back, and the surfboard. She gave me a sad look. "Don't do it, Luke. Come on, Honorable, come with me, we can talk, have a coffee. If you don't want me, at least talk to me." God, she looked stunning, the gold gown shimmering as the breeze caught it and showed off her perfect body. "Fine, jump in. We can go and grab a coffee somewhere." "Wouldn't you prefer we went in the limo?" she said with a warm smile. "No, I don't trust you." She sighed disdainfully. "Fine, have it your way, although God knows what you think I would have done." I found a diner and we pulled into the parking lot. I noticed the limo was right on our tail the whole way. "What's with the shadow?" "Oh, that's just Don. He's keeping an eye on me." "Don't worry, he's harmless, as long as nothing happens to me." As we sat in a booth, her phone started ringing. She turned away so I couldn't hear. "Yes, he's with me now." No, I don't think so." "Rogan, this is bad, honey. He's cleaned out the house, and he's leaving. I didn't sign up to destroy homes. Can't you just bring her back, call it a day and walk away?" There was silence as she listened. "Okay, have it your way, but I'm telling you, he isn't changing his mind." She turned back to me. Her smile had vanished and she said, "I'm sorry about this, Luke. I didn't want to cause trouble." "What the hell did you expect was going to happen?" She shrugged as the waitress came and took our order. "Well, what usually happens is, well, let me put it this way. This is the first time I have been turned down. Every other time, the guy comes with me and we have a bit of fun. Rogan brings his wife back, and as far as I know, they live happily ever after." "God damn it. You don't believe that?" "God almighty, Candace. I bet every one of them ended in divorce." She shook her head. "Nope, I don't think so. Luke, I am very good at what I do. Every guy who I have been with in this situation loves our little interlude, and we have a blast. The sex is great, I promise that. We have some fun at one of Rogan's places, or his yacht. It's just good fun. How many times have you done this?" She shrugged. "I don't know, 4 or 5. Why the hell does he do it? What the hell can he get from it? If what you say is true, sex with you is going to be 100 times better than Kayla. She is hardly a sex goddess. That's what he likes. He shows the ladies a good time. He is a very good lover, Luke, the best I have ever had. He has a certain magnetism. Women find it hard to say no. I shouldn't say all women, but he seems to know which ones to pick." "Where are they now?" I asked. "On their way to Costa Rica." "Jesus, oh well, I hope you're right." "About what?" "That he is that good, because she threw away our marriage for it." As we sipped our coffee, she said, "It doesn't have to be that way, Honorable. Okay, she's gone off for a dirty weekend. Who cares, nothing changes, does it?" "It does for me." She humiliated me in front of all my colleagues, my boss, and my friends. There's no way I could go back there with my head held high. They'll all be laughing their frigging heads off at me. "Han, nobody would be laughing at you. They all saw us walk out together. They all think that you and I are fucking each other's brains out right now. You could walk in there Monday morning a hero." I'm not being big-headed. I know the effect I have on men. I see their eyes gawping at me, the drool. I know exactly what they would be saying. "Yeah, and what about my boss?" Simon knows, and Rogan made him offer me a promotion to grease the wheels. "You're wrong, Luke. I heard Simon and Rogan talking. Simon thinks you're pretty hot. You were getting the promotion anyway. I don't care. I'm outta there. That's a big mistake, Honorable. Don't wreck your marriage. Kayla loves you very much. Oh yeah, and how do you know that? She told me, we talked while you were having your powwow with Rogan. She loves you very much. Look babe, he has this charisma, he's the 10th wealthiest man in the world. She got swept up by it. Don't walk away from your marriage for one moment in time. I finished my coffee. That's it for me, Candace. I'm outta here. I do think inside you're okay. But I have to say, this is a pretty shitty way to make a living. Fucking with people's lives for fun. That's pretty damn low. She winced, my words piercing her armor plating. As I went to walk away, I snarled. These are people's lives, Candace. It's not a video game. It's real. You helped him destroy our marriage tonight. I hope you're goddamned happy with yourself. I was in the blazer and gone before she even got out of her seat. I decided to head north. Mavericks had good surf this time of the year. I needed time to get out and just clear my head. Driving through Ventura, my eyes got a bit heavy and I decided, enough's enough. Seeing a flashing vacancy sign, I pulled into a Motel 6. Lying in bed, I started to drift off to sleep. As I did, my phone started buzzing. I didn't recognize the number, so I answered. Are you okay, Luke? Yeah, fine thanks, Candace. Are you wishing I was there with you? I still could, you know. Nope, not for me thanks. I'm having a quiet drink, celebrating my freedom. Lucky I found out what sort of slut my wife was early. I hate to think I wouldn't have found out until we had been together 30 years. Now that would have been a waste. Luke, I thought you loved Kayla. I did, but that was then. Now, I just think she's a cheating bitch. Hope she enjoys living alone, because I bet fucking Rogan won't want her. Especially when he finds out she's single. You're an idiot, Luke. A damn fool. We could have had a wonderful weekend together. Oh. You could have had the same experience, and next week it would be forgotten. Maybe you can have casual sex like that, Candace, but not me. I have to like the people I sleep with. Ouch, low blow. I hoped we could at least be friends. I laughed. The harder I laughed, the harder it was to stop. When I finally did, I snorted. Jesus, with friends like you, I wouldn't need any enemies. The despondency seeped out in her angry words. She obviously felt insulted, which was my aim after all. Sorry you feel that way, Luke. If you change your mind, call me on this number. Goodbye, Candace. After disconnecting, I checked the phone. There were a couple of messages from Kayla. The first said, I love you, Luke. Have fun with Candace. The second just said, I do love you, Luke. Looking forward to Sunday afternoon and catching up. I couldn't believe how offhand she was being. It was like she actually believed I was going to be okay with this. She was so bedazzled by him, she had gone fucking crazy. Sleep did take me in the end, but it took a while. I was awakened in the morning by the maid. I was supposed to be out by 10. I turned off my phone and drove north. It took 5 hours before I pulled into Santa Cruz. The surfing there was pretty good, and as I pulled into the beach, I could see the surf was cranking and there was already a group lined up. I stripped and pulled on my wetsuit. The wind was up, and it bit with a bracing sting. I almost ran out into the water. The shock was just what I needed, and I paddled out. There was a group sitting on their boards waiting. Sitting, lining up amongst them, my mind started processing everything that had happened. It felt weird. I never thought Kayla would do anything like that. I mean, wow, how could she be so callous? I caught a couple of good waves before calling it quits. My heart wasn't in it. I found a motel and then went out for food. For the first time since the party, I felt lonely. There was plenty of Christmas cheer, families out enjoying the lead up to the big day. Sitting alone, I felt alone. I felt betrayed and angry. I finished my food and went down to the beach for a walk. It was pretty late when I got back to the motel. Lying in bed, I turned my phone back on. It went nuts. There were literally hundreds of messages lighting up. I started with the calls and there were a few from Candace, but then ones from Kayla started lining up. I went to message bank and there were a couple from Candace. "Hi, Luke, just checking to see if you're okay. Could you call me? I don't care what time it is. I just need to know you're okay." There were several like that. Each one sounded a little more desperate. I started going through the ones from Kayla. At first, they were sort of chirpy fun. "Hey, Spunky, just seeing if you survived your night with Candace. Bet it was hot. Love you." Another. "Babe, you won't believe how cool Costa Rica is. The surf is amazing. You would love it." The next one was completely different. She sounded worried. "Luke, what's going on? Candace said you aren't with her? Babe, call me. I'm worried." Then another. She was in tears. "Luke, call me please. We are on our way back. Please call me. Candace said she can't get hold of you. Babe, I'm worried. Please call." On and on. I counted them. There were 25. I went directly to the last one. "Luke, oh my God. What have you done? Where's all your stuff? Babe, please call me." For some reason, it made me happy that she had found out. I was glad I wrecked their dirty weekend. The phone rang several times while I held it, but I didn't answer. I just turned it back off. I went to sleep happy, well, happier than the previous night. Nice to know she was feeling some of my pain. The morning arrived, and I went out for breakfast. Nice, I packed up and headed for Mavericks. Jesus, it was pumping. I sat in the car watching for a while. There were a few riders out, and they cranked out a few good sets. Watching was nice, but it got me fired up. I changed quickly into my wetsuit and hit the beach. Man, it was pumping today. I had only surfed there a few times, and this was definitely the biggest surf I had ever seen there. I was a pretty experienced surfer, but this shit was sick. I managed to get out behind and line up with a few locals. I watched the waves they caught and followed suit. Shit, these monsters were big. The first one, I hit the lip and then went over the falls. I freaked, it was mammoth. It turned out to be just what I needed. You can't think of anything else when you're on the face of one of those bombs. If you do, you're fucked. I stayed out for a couple of hours. Time to hunt down another motel and some food. Late again, lying on my bed. I checked my phone and there another load of missed calls and messages from Kayla. There was one that I didn't recognize, there was no message, just the number. Interested, I hit dial. "Hello." Ah fuck, it was Rogan. I disconnected immediately and turned it back off. After a restless night's sleep, I decided to go for a walk around town. San Fran is a pretty cool city, and I always loved visiting. Things were different now, though. I needed a plan. I couldn't keep living in motels. Wandering around, I found a 7-Eleven and grabbed coffee and newspaper. I searched around for somewhere to stay. There were some ads for apartments. Yeah, maybe that's the way to go, but before that, I needed a job. With no references, it was going to be tough. Back at the motel, I turned my phone back on and there were another bunch of missed calls. One I did recognize. I called him straight back. "Hey, Luke, how are you?" "I'm fine, thanks. What can I do for you?" "You didn't come in for work today, I figured you were sick. I was hoping to go over the new position with you." "Simon, shove the job up your ass, bud. As far as I'm concerned, you can get fucked. How's that sound, buddy?" Jesus, Luke, if this is about the other night. I'm sorry, but what the fuck was I going to do? You could have done what any decent friend would have done and told him to do his own dirty work. No, you chose to be his wingman. Well, I hope you're fucking happy, asshole. You fucked my marriage and my life. Luke, you're overreacting, pal. Come in tomorrow and we can work through it. I'll throw in some extra coin for the new role. Fuck off, asshole. I wouldn't work for you if you were the last employer on the planet. Wow, sorry you feel that way. I thought you would have been pretty happy with the new role. I disconnected at that point. Telling him to shove it was the most satisfying thing that happened. As I played with my phone, it started ringing. I recognized the number. What do you want, Kayla? Oh my God, Luke. Thank God you're alive. I was so worried about you. What do you want, Kayla? Get to the point. Luke, I just want to meet, to sit down and talk. I'm sorry for the way things turned out. It wasn't supposed to end like that. Yeah, how was it supposed to end, Kayla? The hesitancy crept in, and I heard her crying softly. It was supposed to be fun. You were supposed to go off with Candace on the yacht, and when I got back, we would have adventures to talk about. Kayla, I told you I wasn't interested. I told you I wasn't going with Candace. You knew that when I walked out. No, Candace said she would talk to you. She promised that it would be all right. I didn't leave with Candace. I left alone, and you knew that. The last words I said to you were, if you left with douchebag, I wouldn't be home when you got back. So here we are. So, back to the start. What do you want? I want to talk. I want you to come home. Jeepers, babe, Simon called about 10 times looking for you. I laughed. You won't have to worry about that one any longer. I told him to shove it up his ass. On my God, why did you do that? Because he helped douchebag destroy my marriage. What did you expect? I told you I wasn't going to be humiliated in front of all my colleagues. Oh crap, babe, you're going off. You don't have to do this. Everything is going to be okay. No, it's not, Kayla. Wake up. We are done, our marriage is over. I'm not filing for divorce, not yet. It will have to wait until I have some money. Unless you want to get Morse to spring for it. It can be his going away present. Don't be like that, Luke. We all made a mistake. He's not a bad guy. Like fuck, he's not. Any guy that seduces another man's wife is an A-grade asshole. He's a dirty fucker. Luke, please, sweetheart, could we just get together? I don't want this to be the end. Sorry, Kayla, but this is it for me. I think if we both try to move on, it will make this easier. Let's put this in the lessons learned basket and move on. Luke, I love you. Yeah, right. Disconnecting brought the call to a premature end. Sitting holding the dead phone, listening to the beep seemed so final. I thought she was the one, I really did love her, and this hurt, it hurt a lot. Surfing became my go-to, my savior in Mavericks was everything, huge surf on a regular basis. I got to know some of the locals and didn't feel like such a Benny. A couple of the guys were easy to talk to and one sourced me a job. It was for a local tech computer repair shop. The money wasn't great, but the benefits were, I got floating hours, so I could surf whenever I wanted. I found a half-decent apartment close to work and the beach. That was me, I worked and surfed. Meeting the locals got me invited to some parties, which was rad, but I still wasn't much to be around. The breakup cut me harder than I expected, and the aftershocks kept hitting. I enjoyed my own company. I did talk to a few girls at the parties, one even hinted at more. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It was about a month later. I was immersed in my design. I was working on a new computer game and was deep in the logic when I was dragged out of my concentration by Poundy. Ing on the door. Opening it, I snapped, yeah? Kayla stared back at me. Can we come in? We? I muttered. That's when Rogan stepped into view. Hey, Luke. Nice to see you again. Please, Luke, can we come in? Kayla asked. I stepped back and waved some stupid gesture to show them in. It was weird seeing her again. She looked as pretty as ever, maybe more so. We stood around in a group, nobody saying anything. It was Rogan who said, "I'll go and sit on the sofa, let you two talk." Kayla reached for my hand. "How have you been, Luke?" "Yeah, I'm good. You know how it goes, new job, new town. I'm getting used to it now." She nodded. "I wanted to talk, I hope that you might have calmed down a little, and we could talk without any anger. And to achieve this, you brought your boyfriend." "Yeah, that's real smart, Kayla." She cringed. "Rogan is not my boyfriend. He offered to help. He only came to apologize." "Kayla, this is a mistake, okay? I would prefer it if you just left." "No, Luke, you have to hear me out. It was a mistake, okay? I see that now, but on the night of the party, it was all just a huge shock. I let it get to me. I should have listened to what you were saying. I should have gone home with you when you asked." I nodded. "Yeah, you should have, but you didn't." End of story. So there's no room in your heart to hear my apology? No room for forgiveness? Surely there must be some way to get past this. I love you and only you. I don't want divorce or separation. I want you at home, or if this is our new home, I will move here. Forget it, Kayla, you chose your road. You wanted something I didn't. Like I said, let's move on. That's fucking it. I heard Rogan bellow as he stood up from the sofa and took a step towards us. I've heard enough of this fucking shit. Luke, I'm sorry for the way things turned out, I really am. Jesus, I never set out to wreck your marriage, okay? I went to say something but he cut me off. No, you had your say, now it's my turn. I did not realize what an uptight, insecure, pathetic dick you were. Okay, so Kayla and I had sex, big fucking deal. Yeah, you heard me, big fucking deal. He started pacing around in frustration, his fingers running through his hair. Look, Luke, I offered you a deal. I got to have the pleasure of Kayla's amazing company for a couple of days. You got the same deal, you got Candace, and let me tell you something, she is fucking hot. Maybe the hottest woman on the planet. There's a reason why she cost 10 grand. Fuck off, I snarled. You didn't offer me anything. You made it clear, there was no negotiating. It was a done deal. Oh, stop acting like a spoiled fucking brat. Yeah, I chased something I liked, but if you acted like a man rather than a sulking brat, you could have enjoyed what would have been the singular greatest sexual experience of your life. Instead, you chose to go home with your tail between your legs and have a cry. He paced around, kicking some invisible pebble. I stood there stunned by his tirade. Jesus, Luke, I'm sorry, man, I really am. I misread the situation. Usually I get it right. I'm good with body language. You looked like a cool guy, and I was very attracted to Kayla. I talked to Candace to see whether she was up for it. Her words, and I quote, I think I'm getting the better end of the deal. I made Kayla the offer, thinking there's no way you were going to say no to Candace. I saw you gawking at her from the moment we walked in. Kayla butted in. He's telling the truth, Luke, you know you were. When Rogan suggested this thing to me, I was shocked. I was horrified. I remembered you had told me he was going to, but it rattled me. Maybe it was the mood, I don't know, but it intrigued me. We would both have an extraordinary experience to share. Oh, what a load of baloney, Kayla. I told you I was not into it. I know that, Luke, but when Candace and I talked, she explained that sometimes guys are too scared to admit their interest. She convinced me that you were interested, but were feeling intimidated by Rogan. A lot of men react that way. She assured me that once you were alone with her, you would change your mind. Luke, I am going to plead with you. Something I have never done before. Do not throw away what was obviously a very happy marriage just because of sex. Jesus, that's all it was. Easy for you to say, buddy. You obviously have no concept of love, or what that entails. For me, love is monogamous, or if not, then accepted by both parties. I could accept swapping or whatever the hell you want to call it, if we talked about it beforehand, and agreed. They glanced little glances back and forth, as the room fell into a brooding silence. Rogan broke it with, "For what it's worth, Luke. If you need to be mad at anybody, then be mad at me. I instigated it, it was my idea." Kayla was shocked, and said you would never accept it, and she wouldn't either unless you were interested. Baloney, I couldn't have been plainer, could I? I said, if you went ahead with the stupid idea then I wouldn't be home when you got back. Yes, but then Candace went out after you. When neither of you came back, I thought you must have gone with her, Kayla gushed hysterically. She fell down on her knees. Luke, you have to believe me. I thought, oh God, I don't know. I thought what Candace said was right, and once you were alone with her you changed your mind. That's not true, I heard her on the phone talking to old douchebag there, and she told him I was leaving. She turned quickly to Morse and snarled. Is that true, Rogan? He shook his head. No, what Candace said was Luke was still unsure. She thought he was thinking about it. He walked around, fuck, come on, who in their right mind says no to Candace? You're a damn fool, Luke. That yacht has everything, jet skis, sailboards, paragliding. I know it's not something that all people get to experience. I remember what it's like to be broke. I thought he was going to pull his hair out, he seemed so frustrated. Luke, believe it or not, I don't do what I do to humiliate husbands. I do it because I get to share my life with people. Honestly, bro, if you had just opened your mind, it could have been amazing. What was amazing was my marriage, I barked. Well, before you decided to interfere. My vision of what my marriage was has been shattered. Sorry, but you wasted your time coming here today. Maybe you could book into a hotel and have a romantic stopover. Kayla interjected tearfully. Luke, Rogan, and I have not been together since that weekend. He kindly offered to come with me today to see if we could salvage what was a beautiful marriage. Luke, I love you so much. I can't explain what happened, or how I got it so wrong, but I am sorry I hurt you so much, let you down so deeply. Trying to hold the quaver from my voice, and the tears from my eyes, I replied. It's too late, Kayla, the magic is gone. It's over. Rogan opened his arms and she fell into his embrace. He glared at me. You're an idiot, Luke, a goddamned idiot. You work at that computer repair shop, wasting your talent. Simon told me how bright and switched on you were. You sit around here wasting away, when you could be in your wife's arms. You're a damn fool. They left and I flopped back in the chair, all my anger and dismay rushing out of me in one long exhale. It really was over. The one thing that bit was his comment about wasting my talent. That, he was right about, and I knew I was hiding away. I had tried to convince myself it was all about the surfing, but the truth is, I felt embarrassed about what happened. I needed to fix that. It came out of the blue. I was becoming well known amongst the local surfers, and I had repaired plenty of gear for them. It was one day while sitting on the beach beside a guy who I surfed with occasionally. We started talking and he asked about my job. Somehow, that extended to ambitions and I blurted out about my computer game designing. He looked stunned. Do you have any, bro? I have a couple that I think could be cool. Some of my buds have played and liked them. He chuckled. Still waters, bro look, I work for an investment firm. We specialize in helping young entrepreneurs get into business. We have funded hundreds of startups. Would you like to present your stuff to a couple of our managers? Now I was the shocked one. I would love to, if you're serious. Oh dude, I'm so serious. I drove back to my apartment floating on air. I had some stuff already, all I needed was a presentation and a financial plan. That was the hard part, I knew nothing about business. Not a damn thing. I did some research so that I had something. The day I walked into their offices, it was pretty daunting. Ross, the guy who I had been talking to, met me at reception and walked me through to a meeting room. I expected business suits and God knows what, but they were dressed like me, they talked like me and made me feel at ease. After my presentation, they introduced me to one of their accountants, Roy. He helped me build a business proposal. He laughed when I apologized for not really understanding. Dude, it's all good. You're here because you're an ideas man, your ability to design. I'm here to make it a feasible proposition. We worked for 2 days as he built up spreadsheets and time frames. We went back to the management team and they agreed to fund my development. It wasn't hundreds of dollars, it was many thousands, and they were so enthusiastic. Ross helped me find some premises and I set up my offices. I finished my first computer game, and they helped me put together a pitch that I could float to the major game manufacturers. I expected there to be little interest, but if anything, it was the exact opposite. I floated it to several different companies and Ross went along with me. I was blown away when the very first one said they wanted it, and offered me a very large sum of money. Ross laughed in their faces. Come on, guys, remember, we are taking this to several other companies. If you're not going to take us seriously, we won't be back. It only took a couple of weeks and I had sold my first one and paid back my investors. The second and third sold quickly, as well. I built on those successes. I had lots of ideas, all I needed was to support them with logic. For the next month, it felt like I did nothing but write code. I was thankful when Ross dragged me away to go surfing. Of course, that led to a few drinks at a local bar and I met an amazing girl. She was a surfer and into music. She was chasing her own dreams. We hit it off and ended up in a relationship of sorts. It was my first experience with a casual relationship. Up until then, all of my relationships had been committed. This was hard because Cheryl didn't want that. She liked her freedom. It hurt the first time I saw her with another guy. I just about lost it. We had been dating for 2 months, and although she warned me it was casual, I didn't realize that meant she was seeing other guys. It broke my heart. I wanted to slap her. She saw me at the bar and came over as if nothing was wrong. Hey, Luke, how's things? Just like that. Who's the guy? I hissed. Confused, she replied curtly. A friend, why? I thought we were dating. Luke, I told you. Our relationship is casual. I don't ask you about what you do when we are not together. Don't fuck this up. I like you. I walked out, leaving my beer unfinished on the bar. She called me a few days later. Want to see a movie or something? Cheryl, I don't know. I'm not sure I can do casual. I thought we had something going on. We do, Luke, but I told you. I'm not ready to commit to anything. We're both free. Do you want to see the movie or not? Yeah, okay. It felt like I just gave in, but over a few days I forgot she was seeing other guys. She even introduced me to one of her friends who invited me out to a concert. When Cheryl found out, I was expecting fireworks, but all she did was ask, "How was the concert?" Weird. It was my introduction to casual sex. Cheryl and I lost touch when she jetted off to Nashville to follow her music dream. I dated several women over the next couple of years. I guess it was a good time. I immersed myself in developing games, and what had always driven me most, 3D and virtual reality. I wanted my games to come to life, to immerse whoever played it in a total experience. It was during that work where I uncovered a little invention. It was mind-blowingly simple, but it elevated my games. I was onto something, and I drove it harder, building on it. Midway through the next year, I had it nailed and I had something I could really sell. This was going to be millions, not thousands. I floated the idea and got a lot of responses. I brought in Ross to work with me. I was shocked when one of the biggest games producers in the world wanted my invention. I had to present it to them in LA the next week. Flying into LA was a bit strange. I hadn't been back since Kayla and I broke up going on 3 years before. I had a quick meet and greet with a representative in the afternoon. He seemed okay, if a little pretentious, dressed in his designer suit and carefully coiffured hair, with just the right amount of designer stubble. He seemed like the epitome of the archetypical Hollywood manager. During our afternoon meeting, he stunned me when he asked, "Would you like some female company tonight? Are you hooking me up?" He shrugged. I could. We usually offer our clients the opportunity. We know it's tough when you're just dropping in. Thinking about it, I nodded. Yeah, all right. She better be hot, though. You won't be disappointed, man. Ross and I went up to our rooms and prepared for tomorrow's presentation. We went back down to meet the sleazy dick. Hopefully the company he represented would be better, because he didn't impress either Ross or me. We walked in and Roosevelt, yeah, the pretentious bastard, he was there at a table with a group of other company reps. There were handshakes all around, and they got in the drinks. We had been talking for about an hour when Roosevelt stood up and rushed over towards the bar. Thankfully the other company reps were much better. They understood what we were talking about. In fact, they seemed honest. Roosevelt reappeared with the most gorgeous woman on his arm. Like an ad from some promotion, the woman clad in a sparkling silver full-length dress that fit her like a glove. Her beautiful long flowing blonde hair fell across her spectacular exposed shoulders. The flowing locks perfectly framed her face, highlighting those deep sparkling blue-gray eyes. Her perky boobs pressed the slinky fabric showing as she moved. As they neared the table, Roosevelt completed the introductions, ending with me. "Candace, this is Luke." She hadn't looked my way throughout the introductions. When her eyes fell on me, and our hands clasped, she gasped. "Luke, oh my God. How have you been?" Her smile was warm and honest. Roosevelt looked stunned. "You two know each other?" "Oh yeah, we're old friends," I replied. "We managed to kill off one project a couple of years ago." I saw her flinch as my words reverberated. She let my hand drop as she moved closer, standing beside me. I had to listen to the proposals, but my mind had turned to mush. I was no longer listening. All I wanted to do was talk to Candace. My heart raced as the food arrived and then more drinks and ongoing twaddle. Luckily, Ross took over and he asked all the right questions as Candace pressed her body against me. Roosevelt wanted to party, but I was already sick of him. "Gentlemen, it's been a long day. I need to get some sleep." Roosevelt laughed crudely. "No chance while you're with Candace, man." I felt her tense up beside me. She didn't appreciate his vulgarity any more than I did. I put my arm around her waist as I led her away. "Sorry, he's a dick," I said. "Yes, he is. Slimy dick. I hate him." "Then why do you work for him?" I asked, confused. She giggled. "I don't work for him, God no. I'm doing this as a favor for Rogan." "Morse? What the hell does he have to do with this?" She gave me the confused look. "Rogan is one of the major shareholders in MyTech." "You mean he is an owner?" She nodded. "Didn't you know?" "No, hell no. I wouldn't be dealing with them if I did." She shook her head. "Luke, Rogan spreads his tentacles wide. He is involved in a whole bunch of different companies." I swiped the card and guided her into my suite. I made us a couple of drinks and we sat together on the settee. "Sipping the drinks," she asked, "is knowing Rogan is involved going to influence your decision on accepting?" "Oh, hell yes. I am not getting involved with that asshole." She cringed. "You know that puts me in a difficult position. My job is to give you a nice experience and encourage you to sign with them. Then maybe you should leave. I don't want you to sully or corrupt your ethics." "Luke, I don't know anything about what you're trying to accomplish, but if Rogan is the best, then why not go with him?" "Because I would rather go bankrupt than deal with him." "Are you going to tell him about this conversation?" She chewed her bottom lip thoughtfully before she nodded. "Yes, I have to. He is my friend. Just because I'm, as you said last time, a hooker, doesn't mean I don't have ethics. I haven't questioned your reasons, Candace. No, you did that last time. That was different. You were out to destroy my marriage. Oh, good lord, nothing was further from my mind. I told you all that, and I don't plan on going over all that again. This is different, anyway. You should probably leave, because there's no way in hell I'm going with them now. She shrugged. That is unfortunate, because I know Rogan, and I know how good he is. He is regarded as the best for a reason, Luke, and he is very fair. You don't read negative stuff about him screwing people over. I should probably write something then. He didn't set out to hurt or embarrass you. If things had been different, you might have enjoyed it. Yeah, and what things would have to have been different, Candace? Tell me. Well, if you had been a little more open-minded, a little less self-righteous, less sanctimonious. I mean, now you think it's okay to spend the night with a hooker. Don't you think that's a little hypocritical? No, now I'm single, no strings. Then I was a married man. You're telling me, if you were married now, this wouldn't be happening? Absolutely. Candace, I think it might be best if you left. You're not into this, and neither am I. She looked hurt. Luke, I'm getting paid regardless of what you choose to do. Ethically, all I am bound to do is try to get you to sign with my tech. If you don't, that's not my fault. For your information, I am into this. I sniggered, even knowing that your pal is getting nothing from it? That's his problem, not mine. I have been employed to do a job. I'm a job, huh? She shrugged. You requested it, knowing you were getting an escort. So yes, this is a job, a very enjoyable one. Okay, so what happens now? I asked. She inched a little closer. Well, now I'm going to show you what you missed out on the first time. Her sweet full lips grazed across mine, her tongue sliding deliciously into my open mouth. It was a kiss, a sweet succulent juicy gut-wrenching kiss. Her body filled my hands, like last time. She was completely naked under her dress, and her body felt incredible. The night dissolved into wild, frenetic, erotic, passionate sex. God, I had never experienced anything like it. She was the Frida Kahlo of sex, vivid, expressive, explosive. No superlatives really suited. Afterward, we cuddled together, my breathing ragged, my chest thumping wildly. She kissed my shoulder. Wow, that was wonderful. She sighed. Oh, hell yeah. So, can I ask? Are you sorry now you missed the first opportunity? I laughed. What do you think? I can only speak for myself, she whispered, and I am sad that we missed that opportunity. We cuddled together and I whispered. Are you staying the night, or do you have to run? She nestled closer. I am here for the night, unless you want me to go. I want you to stay. I'm glad. I was hoping you might like a repeat. Oh, I want several repeats, is that greedy? She laughed. No, it's what I was hoping for. The morning came all too quickly. We showered together and I was stunned to see her slip into some casual yoga pants and a loose-fitting blouse. Wow, you came prepared, I said. Yes, well, I hate looking like a slut doing a walk of shame. You could never look like that. You are a very beautiful woman, Candace. She gave me a sweet kiss. Thank you, Luke, thank you for last night. It was very enjoyable. I met Ross on the way downstairs for breakfast. He cajoled me. Fuck, you lucky bastard. Is she as good as I always thought she would be? I chuckled. Whatever you think, triple it, then times it by 10. Jesus, I have never had an experience like that. As the elevator went down, I asked, did you know Rogan Morse is involved with my tech? He nodded. Yeah, I thought everybody knew that. No, I didn't. Listen, he and I have bad history. There's no way I'm accepting their offer, I don't care how good it is. Oh shit, really? Fuck, dude, it is probably going to be the best offer on the table. I don't care. No way am I making that asshole money. He can get fucked. Shit, dude, okay. Let me do all the talking. We better not say that up front, okay? We will listen to their offer and tell them we will think about it. Sorry, bud, but I don't think that's going to work. When Candace told me he was involved, I told her I wouldn't deal with him. Oh well, we'll play it by ear. Damn sorry, man. I should have told you before we flew down here. Doesn't matter. Last night made it all worthwhile. We walked into the MyTech offices and Roosevelt met us at the door. How was last night, bro? I hope she rocked your world. Yeah, she was hot. Thanks for hooking that up. He patted my back. Yeah, no worries, bro, all good in the hood. He organized for the assistant to get us coffee and led us into the main meeting room. We went through the introductions. It was then that the manager said, "We are going to be joined by Rogan Morse this morning. He has taken a real interest in this product. If you don't mind, we will hold off the presentation until he gets here." Ross glanced at me and I shrugged. No problem. We talked for another half hour before Rogan strutted in. He walked straight up to me. "Hello, Luke. Nice to meet you again. I'm glad you took my advice." We shook hands and he flopped back into one of the big office chairs. "All right, Luke. Take it away, show us what you've got." His casual offhand attitude annoyed me. I was sure Candace had already spoken to him. He knew now that I wasn't selling to him. Ross and I went through the presentation and let them wear the headsets and experience the imagery. The astonished, "Oh my god," and "holy shit" statements proved we were on the money. I noted that Rogan didn't bother. We finished up and the manager glanced at Rogan, looking for direction. "We're wasting our time, aren't we, Luke?" Rogan growled loudly. I nodded. "Yes, sorry. I'm not prepared to deal with you." The manager barked angrily. "What the fuck? We have invested a lot in this already." Rogan put up his hand. "Don't worry, John. No sense making a scene. Goodbye, Luke. Good luck with the product." I walked out with Ross right on my heels. We didn't speak until we were in the elevator. We both sucked in a deep breath at the same time. Holy shit, dude. Fuck, that was intense. Jesus, what is your beef with the guy? It's personal. I have to say, man, he is widely respected. I have dealt with him many times. He is really helpful for young guys starting out. Man, he mentors a lot of young entrepreneurs. Yeah, well, I know some shit about him that might make people think twice about him. He gave me a bit of a disbelieving glare. We flew back to San Fran and Ross was pretty quiet. He was obviously unhappy. The next day I was in my office going over the other interested parties when I glanced up to see Rogan. He walked in as if he owned the place straight up to my desk. I stood to meet him. He reached out to shake hands. "Okay, Luke. I want to sort out our differences. I don't want to let our personal problems get in the way of what might be a very good alliance." "Rogan, I'm sorry you wasted your time flying up here today. I'm not interested. I have other companies interested in the product." "You're making a mistake, Luke, a very bad mistake. You're letting personal rivalry get in the way of good business decisions." "Rogan, having seen up close and personal your ethics, there's no way I'm getting involved with you in a business alliance." He leaned over my desk threateningly. "Luke, I stand behind my business ethics. I have thousands of business associations and my reputation speaks for itself." "Yeah, do you think that reputation might take a hit if I revealed how your ethics really worked? Do you think people might like to know you take a great deal of fun in destroying people's lives?" "Oh, for heaven's sake, Luke. Let it go. Your wife and I had sex, you now know what you missed out on." His face twisted into a sneer. "How was it, anyway? Did she live up to your expectations?" I sneered. "She's a hooker, what do you think? She's good at her job." "Look, Luke, I want in on this deal. What do I have to do to make this deal work? He sat down in a chair across from me. He leaned his head into his hands. Tell me, Luke, what do I have to do? Rogan, there's not a damn thing you can do to change my mind. I refuse to deal with an asshole like you. I prefer to trust my business partners. Luke, hats off, you've done well, and you seem to have a good handle on VR. We are the perfect match for you. We make perfect business sense. I nodded, yes, no argument, but I'm not doing it. We argued back and forth for another hour before he stormed out in a very apparent rage. Ross came in later and we started to shortlist the remaining companies that had showed interest. As we worked through them, I asked, are any of these companies linked to Morse? He gave me a worried frown. I'm not totally sure, but a couple have some vague links. I automatically scrubbed those. After a bit of digging around in phone calls, he said, come on, let's go and hit some waves. That suited me. After Rogan's visit, I was feeling pretty stressed. 2 hours later we were in a bar, overlooking the ocean. Come on, Luke, spill, buddy. What happened between you and Morse? It must have been bad. Yeah, the guy's an asshole. I won't discuss what happened, but it was enough to make me never want to work with him again. The next day was bad. Ross called, he didn't visit. Luke, I have been told we can no longer work together. We're pulling our support. Sorry, bud. Why, what happened? Ah fuck, it's Morse, isn't it? Yeah, sorry dude. Look, I have some advice. Get yourself a lawyer who specializes in patents, and make it as tight as you can, and get them to do background searches on whoever you decide to go with. I don't know what went down between you and Morse, but he is after you. First things first. Get a tight as hell patent on your product. He has already been in here looking for design drawings. Bud, I deleted everything we had, and I have stashed away the paper copies. Good luck. I got straight on the phone and followed his advice. I got all my design docs and listed them with the patents office. By doing background searches, it made my job so damn easy. There were only a couple of companies left on my short list. I went with the biggest. Once we started dialogue, their interest was instantaneous, and they were enthusiastic. Meeting with them meant another trip to LA, this time by myself. I was nervous, but I needn't have worried. They were so keen to beat Morse to the punch that they were falling over themselves to get me locked away. I found out through Ross that Morse had put the pressure on them to talk me round. That just drove my desire to keep him locked out. A month later, it was done and dusted. I was officially a millionaire, well, a multi-millionaire. The new consoles went into production and they were a hit, a worldwide hit. Virtual reality was the new buzzword, and to have this level of sophistication took us to the top of the market. What killed me was the continual travel, back and forth from LA to San Fran. It drove me nuts. The company wanted me to move to LA, because when I floated a couple of other ideas past them, they were pretty keen to do the development in-house. I guess if I had one dream in my life, it was a house by the water. With the money in my bank, I decided to make that dream a reality. My search began, and it didn't take long. I found the perfect place. It was set back from the beach on Sea Vista Drive, and it came in just under $1 million. I was happy. The deal settled quickly and I moved in. The only thing missing was furniture. Talking to one of the office girls who I casually dated led me to a design house in Santa Monica. Walking in made me suck in a deep breath. Holy shit. This was something I hadn't really done before. Everything I had was bought at discount stores. Wandering around in there made me realize I was out of my depth. Walking around, I was met by a salesgirl who appeared from nowhere. Can I help you, sir? Perhaps. I have just bought a property and I need some guidance. I'm new at this. She smiled. Have a look around, I will go and get the boss. She might be able to help. As I continued to rummage through their stock, I heard a voice from my past. Behind me. I turned slowly. Hey, Kayla. She dropped her clipboard. Luke, what are you doing here? I brought a house down by the beach and I need some help. Is this your place? Zoned out, she replied haltingly. Yes, this is mine. You say you brought a place? I heard you were living in San Francisco? I had to move back for work. Did you say you brought a place? Sure did. By the beach, you said? Yeah, Sea Vista Drive actually. Wow, holy shit, that's an expensive suburb. I laughed. You're right there. I think I got one of the few going for less than $1 million. She giggled softly. You did well to get that. What exactly are you looking for, Luke? Honestly, I don't know. I have this nice house, which has no furniture. I'm currently sleeping on the floor. I thought I would get some help. Sounding somewhat bitter, she snorted. So you thought you would come here and rub my nose in it? What? God, no. I didn't even know you owned this place. One of the office girls recommended it to me. I can see this isn't going to work. I'll look elsewhere. I started striding purposefully for the door when she cried out. Stop, wait up, Luke. She walked up behind me. I'm sorry, that was unfair. I didn't know. I was just reacting. I nodded. Yeah, weird, huh? Even after all this time, it still hurts. She nodded hesitantly. Yes, it does. She gave me a thin smile. I need to have a look at the place before I can offer any suggestions. Are you free tonight? We could go and have a look? I'm free now, actually. If you are still interested. I nodded. Yes, I'm interested. Is it going to be weird for you though? Luke, we are adults, I'm a professional. I can do this. We walked outside and when I led her over to the old Blazer, she giggled. You can afford a new house, yet you drive this old heap around. Yeah, I like her, she never lets me down. Walking into the new house, Kayla sucked in a big breath. Wow, must be a huge mortgage? No mortgage. She looked at me incredulously. You're joking. You brought this and paid cash? I nodded. Yep, sure did. Holy crap, Luke. Wow, what did you do, win the lottery? Nope, just my hard work finally paid off. Some of those old computer games I designed sold. She gave me a new look, impressed. We wandered around the house, and she took lots of photos and took plenty of notes. She gave me an appraising sort of sideways glance. What's our budget? Well, I hadn't thought about it. I want it to fit the house. I don't want monstrous old stuff. I want modern and sleek. But, it would be nice if you went easy on me. I'm not made of money. She laughed as she walked into the bedroom and saw my sleeping bag on the floor, and my clothes still in suitcases. You do need some help, don't you? Yeah, I guess I do. As we drove back to her shop, I said, You have obviously done all right. That shop seems pretty successful. She shrugged it off. Yes, we are doing okay. We? I asked. Yes, I have a business partner. An investor who put up the money to get it started. My mind went straight to Morse. Right, feeling guilty was he? What the hell are you talking about, Luke? Morse, is he your secret investor? Don't be ludicrous. My business partner is a woman. Robin did loan me some money when we got back from Costa Rica. She sneered irritably. Somebody took all the money out of our account. I felt a tinge of guilt, it was petty. Yeah, I'm sorry for that, Kayla. I was feeling betrayed and angry. It was petty. I apologize. She grimaced. It's okay. I deserved it. I know I have said it already, but I will try again. I am sorry, Luke. I never meant to hurt you. It's all water under the bridge now, Kayla. We have both moved on. We have new lives. I saw her eyes glistening as she wiped away a tear. Do you have somebody special, Luke? No, I have dated, but nobody special. Are you dating at the moment? I'm not looking for anybody. I'm busy with work. What about you? The same, I have had a few dates, but nobody special. What about Morse? She swallowed hard before whispering. We are friends, but that one time is the only time we were ever intimate. I glanced across at her and I could see she was struggling to keep it all together. As we pulled up outside her shop, I asked, when can you have something for me? How about Friday? I could have some designs ready by then. It affected me seeing her again. I remembered why I fell in love with her in the first place. She was attractive without being movie star beautiful. She was funny, bright, and most importantly, she got me, she understood my quirks. Thursday I got a call from her. Luke, would you like to meet for lunch? I have some designs that you might like to see. Sounds good, what about the fig tree? 12:30 okay for you? Yes, see you there. She looked sensational, and I felt my heart flutter a little. Even with everything that had passed between us, she got to me. Jesus, what are you doing, you damn fool, I muttered to myself as I walked up to her table. She welcomed me with a smile and passed me a folder with some designs and sketches, photos of furniture and some mock layouts. We ordered and talked idly, the conversation light, and a little banter developed. It was suddenly like old times. It felt natural, not forced, but elevating. It was nice and I felt a little empty walking back to work. Friday came all too slowly, but she called late Friday. Sorry, Luke, we have been incredibly busy. I have the mock-ups done. Are you free tonight? We met at a bar down by the beach. We ordered dinner and she got out her laptop and went over the design suggestions. They all looked perfect and I couldn't find fault with them. We talked some color changes, artwork, and general suggestions. It was peasant. The food was nice and we had a couple more drinks. As we finished up, she said, would you like a walk on the beach? Yeah, that would be nice. As we walked, she said, I've really missed you, Luke. I was devastated when you left, completely lost. You seem to have done all right, I countered. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about inside. You walked out and left me. You gave me no chance to talk to you, no chance to try and repair things. It was so cold. I hated you for that. Yeah, well, you weren't exactly top of the charts with me either, Kayla. Let's not forget why I walked out. But you never gave us a chance. Never even talked to me. Here one day, gone the next. Kayla, going back over this isn't helping. It's history. No, Luke, it's not. It's been an open wound ever since you walked out of my life. You didn't give us a chance. There was no closure. I don't understand what you mean, Kayla. What did you want me to do? Why couldn't you wait and talk to me when I got back? We came back as soon as we got Candace's call. All you had to do was wait for one day. Then we could have talked it out. Tried to fix things. You wanted me to hang around here while you were away on your dirty weekend with douchebag, and I was just supposed to hang around? Sorry, Kayla, I told you what was going to happen if you left with him. I gave you a warning. Fuck, what more could I have done? She burst into tears and fell to her knees. Nothing, she screeched. You're right, it was my fault. I should have left with you. I made a stupid mistake, but why couldn't you wait? I sat down beside her and pulled her into an embrace. I told you what was going to happen, Kayla. I don't understand why you can't understand my perspective. I don't, Luke, I just don't. You blew up the world. Quit your job, walked out of our life. Left me with all the bills, took all the money. I didn't get a chance to even say goodbye. Her body shuddered with the ferocity of her sobs. I'm sorry, Luke, I really am. I would do anything to take it all back, anything. It's done, Kayla, I accept your apology. It was a crazy stupid night. You said you hated me, while I hated you more. I could have happily killed Morse, the sleazy bastard. I hope one day to make him pay. Luke, that's silly. He tried to apologize to you. He flew us both up to San Francisco to help mend things. He felt bad for what happened. No, he didn't, Kayla. If he had any morals, he wouldn't have done it in the first place. You don't meddle in other people's marriages. It's wrong. He destroyed ours. This time she didn't try to argue his defense. You're right, again. He was wrong to do it, and I was an idiot for listening. We sat for a while and a few people walked past. I said, come on. Let's get you home. I drove her to her place and pulled up in the driveway. She whispered, are you happy, Luke? I mean really happy? I'm getting there. It took a long time to get over the bitterness. I lost my faith in people, trusted nobody. I'm better now, though, the trust is returning. What about you? I feel terrible. I thought I was over you. I thought I had moved on, but seeing you again has just opened up all those old wounds, and I realize I still love you. Her eyes were full of tears, her body trembling as she sat with her head in her arms. It made me feel terrible, as well. I didn't want to hurt her, well, maybe. Kayla, I always loved you. From the moment we met, I loved you, wanted you. That night at that damn party you broke my heart. Seeing you flirting and dancing like lovers with Morse, that devastated me. I felt totally betrayed. I can't get past that. I can't get rid of those images. Maybe one day, but not at the moment. The reason I had to go is, I didn't want to give you the satisfaction of seeing how broken I was. She sniffled and sobbed. I'm sorry, what can I do? Kayla, there's nothing to do. If this is too difficult, then perhaps we should go back to the way it was. Live our own lives. No, she said firmly. I want you in my life, it's just difficult, because I do love you, and miss you. She jumped out and ran. Inside, slamming the door behind her. I sat staring at the house. It was a pretty nice place. I wondered if she owned it, or just rented. Driving back to my place gave me time to think and clear my head. God, seeing her again brought back every single memory. We met young and fell in love and quickly became a couple. We did everything together. Even after we married, we lived for each other. We had the same friends, the same interests. She loved to boogie board while I surfed. I did try to teach her, but she never truly got the hang of it. With my mind flooded with images and memories, I parked and walked into my new house. Sleep was no easier, I couldn't wipe away the memories. Kayla called me in the morning. Luke, I'm sorry about last night. My little meltdown wasn't fair. Do you still want me to start ordering in the furniture? Yes, please. I would like to have something more comfortable than the floor to sleep on. She laughed lightly. Got it. I can have the larger stuff, beds, and lounge furniture there by Tuesday, they are available locally. Do you want to buy your own electronics, TVs, and the like? Yeah, I'll get all that shit. If you could focus on furniture and rugs. My big focus at the moment was stage 2 of my VR. I had something that was going to blow the computer game industry apart. It was going to take gaming to a whole new level. I was close, really close, and I knew it was going to set me up for the rest of my life. My current alliance with DigiWorld was great, and they had given me enormous support. What annoyed me was they treated me like an employee, which I wasn't. Their expectations that all my new discoveries and developments would automatically be theirs as well really got under my skin. This was going to be bigger than my previous inventions. My plan was to give DigiWorld first option, but I knew how much this was worth, and I wasn't going to give it away. The furniture arrival meant seeing Kayla regularly, and every time we met, it got easier. We could talk without tears and anger. It took a couple of weeks before it was finished, and I had to take my hat off to Kayla. She did a great job. The place looked unreal. With the finishing touches complete, I decided on a little housewarming party. I invited some of my closer associates from DG, my surfing buddies, and some old friends I hadn't seen since I hightailed it out of town. I met Kayla, who was bringing a few art pieces for the walls in person. When she walked in, the caterers were setting up. "Having a party, huh?" "Yeah, thought I should." With a teasing flirty glance, she asked, "Am I getting an invite? Do you want one?" I asked nervously. "Yes, I do. Luke, I would like us to be friends, if that's possible." "Well, then. Come along. It's starting about 7, Saturday night." "Can I bring a date?" she asked, and I sensed it was playful, not really serious. "Yep, anybody except douchebag Morse is welcome." I saw her flinch at my warning. "Cool, I'll see you then," she replied hesitantly. The party prep went well, and I had everything organized. Caterers, check. Music, check. Toilet paper, check. Kayla's comment about a date made me think. If she was going to bring somebody, maybe I should invite somebody. There was Kathy from work, who showed a bit of interest. She often flirted with me. In the end, I decided no. The guests started rolling in, and some brought gifts. The drinks flowed. Laughter and chatter filled the rooms. I got dragged into lots of small groups and pretty much everybody was there, although there was no sign of Kayla. I figured, oh well, maybe she decided it would be uncomfortable. There were some of our old group of friends already there, and they were asking about whether Kayla was coming. It was about 8 when I got a pat on the back. "Hey, Luke, sorry we're late." She gave me a big sloppy kiss on the cheek. Stepping back, I took in her beauty. She looked stunning. Dressed casually, but very elegantly, in a flowing summery dress. It was strapless with a low front that showed off her bountiful breasts. It was only then I picked up on her comment, "we." I turned from staring admiringly at her to look past her. That's when she said, "You remember Candace, don't you?" Candace leaned in and gave me an equally sloppy kiss on the other cheek. "Hello, Luke. So nice to see you again. Beautiful house." "Candace, what are you doing here?" I spluttered. Kayla giggled. "Candace is my business partner, oh, and my friend." "No way." I gushed. "Way, buddy." Candace laughed. "We are besties." I laughed myself at the irony. "Well. Fuck." They both laughed. Candace handed me a large gift-wrapped box. "This is for you. Happy new house, and welcome to LA." I took the heavy box, and replied, "Thanks." I lifted it to my head and placed my ear against the box. Kayla frowned. "What the hell are you doing?" "Just checking to see if it ticks." I chuckled. She shook her head with a big smile appearing. "If it ticked, do you think we would be standing here?" I carried it over to the bench and placed it with the others I received. I led Candace and Kayla over to the bar and got them a drink. We clinked glasses in a toast. "Well, am I going to get a guided tour?" Candace asked. I waved her to follow me and led them both through the house as I showed off the house. It wasn't until much later, and after quite a few drinks had flowed under the bridge before I got a chance to talk to them both. Feeling a little drunk, I walked outside and sat by the pool, taking the chance to get some fresh air. Sitting leaned back, resting on my hands, I closed my eyes and sucked in some air. "What are you doing hiding out here?" Kayla asked. Staring up, I spotted them both standing with a bottle of champagne and 3 glasses. I gestured for them to sit with me. Candace opened the bottle and poured us all a drink. "Okay, I can't wait any longer. Put me out of my misery, how did you two become friends?" Candace took over. "Well, after you ran off and left me. I had to call Rogan and explain. When Kayla found out you bailed on me, she was devastated. Especially when I passed on your comments." We all took a sip of our drinks, and she continued her narration. "Anyway, when they got back, Rogan asked me to meet them and explain what happened. While we talked, I could see how upset Kayla was. It wasn't hard, she was in hysterics, and I was really scared for her. This was the first time one of our little games had ever failed. Every other time it turned out well, and everybody enjoyed. I wanted to intervene, but she cut me off. Luke, I was genuinely concerned and decided she couldn't be left alone. So I went home with her, just to keep her company. I have never felt so guilty in my life. Seeing her world come crashing down, just because Rogan and I didn't read the situation properly affected me, as well. As I say, every other time, it always went great. I watched as Kayla wiped away a little tear. Luke, I felt horrid. I was so scared. I felt like taking a knife and just ending it all. If Candace hadn't been there to hold my hand, I'm not sure I could, or would have survived. She was really low, Luke. I'm not trying to guilt you, hon, that's just the way it was. I went back over the next couple of weeks, and the reality dawned on Kayla. She had no money, she couldn't afford to stay in your old place, so she came to stay with me. While we shared my house, I started to pry, and she told me about her dreams. I had been searching for something to invest in. So, that's what we did. We teamed up. Wow, that's a hell of a story. I'm glad you were there for her. Candace squeezed Kayla's hand and said, so am I. We became besties, we get on great. If you take away the fact I destroyed her marriage, we are perfect for each other. I never blamed you, Candace, Kayla gushed. No, you never did. I mean, you had every right to. I did wreck your marriage. No, you didn't. I destroyed it, you just offered me a means to accomplish it. Kayla jumped up. I need to freshen up, I'll be back in a minute. Don't go anywhere. After she ran off, Candace and I slipped into an uncomfortable silence. I broke it when I asked. Was she really that bad? Or were you laying it on for my benefit? No, Luke, she was really bad. I was scared. Does she know that you and I slept together? I asked, afraid of the answer. Taking a sip of her champagne, she nodded slowly. Yes, I told her. I didn't know you were coming back to town. We are friends, and we don't tell lies to each other. Will you be honest with me? I asked. Perhaps, depends on the question. Has she slept with Rogan since that night? She frowned. Now why in the hell would you ask that? Good God, you're broken up. You ran away. Why would you care? I assume the answer is yes, then. You can assume what you want. It's none of your damn business. You had no claim on what she did with her life. I bet you slept with other women apart from me. I gulped down my champagne and poured another. We sat staring at each other and she sat bolt upright and yelped. Oh my God. You're still in love with her, aren't you? Oh my God. Shut up, I snapped. Luke, be honest with me. If you want me to be honest with you, then offer me the same courtesy. Are you in love with Kayla? You want honesty, the truth is I don't know. Seeing Kayla has brought up a lot of old memories, a lot of emotions. I can't answer your question. I definitely don't wish her any harm. I want her to be happy. Candace smiled, stood up and walked over to sit beside me, her arm around my waist. You asked me a question. The answer is no. She has never slept with Rogan. They are friends, they remain that way because Rogan is my friend, and we catch up frequently when he's in town. I felt stupid hearing her answer my question. She was right, it was none of my business, but if that was the case, why was it so important? Luke, if you do have feelings for her, and you obviously do, why not go with it? I know she loves you. She has done nothing but talk about you since you waked into the shop. It was a shock to me, as well. She loves you, Luke, always has. God damn it, she made a mistake. It wasn't even her fault. It was Rogan and me, we're the ones who fucked up. No, I fucked up as well. I overreacted. I should have taken my time and talked it through with her. Either that, or I should have thrown her over my shoulder and carried her out. Oh, the old caveman instinct. You know that doesn't work. Yeah, then why did she go off with that dirtbag? If you can explain it, then I might understand. I have asked myself that question over and over a million times. I still don't know the damned answer. Candace nuzzled up a little closer and her head rested on my shoulder. Her hot breath whispering softly. The answer is difficult, Luke. Put yourself in her shoes. The richest, sexiest woman on the planet makes a play for you. Offers to fly you off to exotic locations and spend the weekend making wild, passionate, abandoned love to you. She promises you that nothing is out of bounds, and that your wife is going to be suitably looked after. There will be no consequences, and that is the important part. There will be no comebacks, no recriminations. Would you do it? I was in that place, wasn't I? Candace, you are probably the sexiest woman I have ever met. So would I do it? No, I wouldn't. I felt the life oozing out of her body. Luke, you are an exceptional person. Not many men would have done that. Thank you, by the way, but I thought you loved Kayla? I do, she is beautiful in ways you aren't. She is sexy, gorgeous, and she was meant to be mine. Only mine, nobody else's. Luke, all she gave to Rogan was her body, she didn't give him her heart. Believe me when I say that. I am an expert on what I give away. What? Luke, my job is sex. I have sex with men for money. Do you think I give them my heart? No, of course not. I give them my body for as long as they can afford. I stared at her and saw her face tighten into a little grimace. I thought you liked your job. I do, most of the time, but occasionally, not so much. Then why do you do it? Because it pays well and keeps me in the manner in which I have become accustomed to. So it's just for the money? She winced, I could see it was a painful discussion. Luke, at first I loved it. I got to fly around the world in private jets, stay in the most expensive hotels. It was glamorous and exciting. Okay, some of the men would not be my first choice, but they were pleasant. Something happened to change that? Yes, I fell in love. Really, who with? She bit her lip as she let it slip. Rogan, and before you say anything, he is a wonderful man. He has some strange quirks, but he is lovely. We became friends, and I saw a side of him most people don't see. I didn't respond, I wanted to bite back, but I could see it would fall on deaf ears. So why did that change things? I fell out of love with the job. I got sick of being used. Thankfully, one of the things Rogan taught me was how to invest my money. I no longer needed to work. I live comfortably, and Kayla has done an incredible job with our business. If you don't do it anymore, why did you sleep with me? She grinned a sexy, flirtatious little smile. I didn't say I gave up altogether. These days, I only do the occasional job for Rogan. He was the one who asked me to do that job. Before you ask, no, neither of us knew it was you. She poured herself more champagne. Glancing at her sipping her drink, I asked. If you're in love with Rogan, why sell yourself to others? It keeps me close to Rogan, and I get to choose whether or not I do it. Does Rogan know you're in love with him? I have never told him. He knows I do have very deep emotional connection with him. He said the same thing to me. We have a connection. Just at that moment, Kayla emerged from the darkness. Candace was draped over me, her head on my shoulder, her mouth close to my ear, my arm around her waist as we embraced. I saw the shocked look on Kayla's face. Oh God, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'll go back inside. Candace saw the look of horror on Kayla's face, as well. She jumped up, flinging my arm from her waist. She jumped into Kayla's arms. You will do no such thing. We were just talking. Kayla accusingly hissed. It looked like more than talking to me. Candace reached up, grabbed her head in her hands and kissed her. Kayla, babes, I wouldn't do that. Neither would Luke. He loves you. I promise, we were just talking. She glanced back at me, searching for support. It's true, Kayla. We were talking about you, actually. Me. She blustered. Yes, Candace was just explaining what a wonderful job you have done with the shop. Candace almost pushed Kayla towards me, and she sat where Candace had been. She was huffy, and obviously unconvinced. Candace poured the last of the champagne into a glass for Kayla, and said, I'm going to get another bottle. Kayla sat unspeaking. I decided to try and get the ball rolling. Did you know Candace is in love with Rogan? Yes, she told me ages ago. What do you think, is there any hope for her? She sniggered breathlessly. I don't know, Rogan does like her a lot. Every time he's in town he stays with her, they talk almost every day. I think in his way, he does love her, but he is a strange guy. You remained friends with him? It's hard not to. Candace is my best friend and he is such a big part of her life. Aside from that, I do like him. Even although he caused the destruction of our marriage. Luke, he didn't, I did. He may have made the suggestion, but it was me. I didn't listen to you. It was my fault. I should have slapped his face and walked away. You can't blame him. Sorry, but I see it differently. Only a sleazy bastard would even approach a married woman for sex. Don't you see, he is an animal, all he cares about is his own needs. He has Candace doing his dirty work, fucking other men to try and win contracts. Geez, Kayla, the guy's an ass. It's not that plain and simple, Luke. Candace likes the sex, she enjoys it when she's in control. She isn't doing it against her will. I don't know, Kayla, it all seems fucking twisted to me. She nodded, her head coming to rest on my shoulder. Yes, I don't disagree, it is a strange relationship. You can be honest with me. Did you enjoy your night with Candace? I chuckled. I'm not answering that. I'm not completely stupid. She giggled, I just wondered if it made you think about that night at the party, if things had been different? Kayla, I have thought about it a billion times since. Did I overreact? Did I make the wrong call? Should I have just gone along with it? I have searched my soul, and even today I don't know. Maybe things would have been okay between us. I don't think it would have worked, though. I think it would have eaten away at me, I think it would have poisoned me from the inside, and eventually it would have killed us anyway. I felt her grip my arm tightly as we cuddled. I asked, I don't think you thought it through either. Nothing would convince me that you would have been happy with me going off with Candace. I think I know you well enough to know you would have hated it. Maybe that night it seemed exciting and erotic, but I think that would have slowly eroded away inside you as well, and maybe the anger would only come to the surface when we argued, but it would still have been there. You might be right, Luke, all I can say is, at the time, I couldn't believe you were going to get to sleep with her. Somehow, it excited me. Maybe I'm as twisted as Candace and Rogan. Candace reappeared with another bottle of champagne. I jumped up wobbling. Not for me, I have to go back in and look after my guests. The party wound up, the caterers were gone. When I walked back outside, Candace and Kayla were still sitting together talking. They leaned against each other and looked content. I collapsed in a heap beside them. Well, that was a great night. I think it was a success. It was wonderful. I haven't seen some of those guys since before you left, Kayla offered. Yes, great party, and you were a wonderful host, Candace slurred, the champagne finally getting to her. We should go, Kayla sighed. No, not yet, I'm too tired to move, Candace groaned. I'll call you a cab, I replied, dragging out my phone. Oh shit, I don't feel like a cab. Candace sighed. I feel like going to bed and sleeping. Kayla giggled, lazy bones, we can't stay here. Candace winked at me. Yes, we could, you wouldn't mind, would you, Luke? We wouldn't be any bother. Confused, I shrugged. I have spare beds, you can stay if you want. Kayla and Candace exchanged glances, and I noticed Candace fluttering her eyes. Okay, I was drunk and not thinking clearly. There are beds, and you are welcome to stay, if you want. Candace grabbed Kayla's arm and dragged her away. Come on, I'll fight you for the king-sized one. They staggered away arm in arm, giggling. We might have to share, Kayla said, with a nervous giggle. Kinky bitch. Candace laughed. You know what happened last time. I stopped dead in my tracks. Their sexy giggles made me think, what the fuck? I cast my eyes around the mess left behind and decided, fuck it, that was waiting for the morning. When I walked past the spare bedroom door, I watched in amazement as Candace and Kayla shoved and pushed each other as they climbed into the spare bed. Keep the noise down, will you? I called. No promises, yelped Candace. As I climbed into bed, my mind spun wickedly. Surely they weren't. No, surely not. Sleep came quickly and easily. I don't think a plane crashing into the house would have awakened me. The next morning I woke late to a pounding headache, and I promised myself, never again. I eased slowly out of bed, every bone aching and my joints creaking. I staggered into the shower, turned it up full and stood under the stinging jets. It didn't ease my headache, but God, it felt good. I dried off, dressed and wandered out to tackle the mess. I completely forgot about Candace and Kayla. It was the snoring that alerted me to their presence. I poked my head in the open door to their bedroom. They lay together, snuggled up together, with arms and legs draped over each other. Candace, who was lying on her back, was snoring loudly. It was a cute snorting snore, almost musical. I needed food, but with my head pounding, I decided the better solution was to drive down to the cafe on the beach and get food. Reversing out the driveway, I got a sense for how stupid this was. I could still go over on a DUI. Pulling onto the main road, I spotted a big Waffle House sign and decided. That was it. I remembered Kayla's favorite from when we were dating was the cheeseburger. We just about lived on the damn things when we got together. I got a whole bunch of waffles and stuff, as well as coffees, big coffees. I parked and carried the food inside, thinking, damn it, should have got codeine. Clearing the table, I spread out the food. Still no noises coming from the bedroom. I walked up, hoping to wake them, but they were up and I heard giggles coming from the bathroom. Jesus, just how close were these two? My dick gave a little twitch at the thought of it. Oh, holy shit, no. I mumbled, walking back to the dining room. I got some plates and cutlery out. By the time I laid them on the table, the girls walked out wearing my big fluffy bath robes. Ah, so that's where you were. We thought you must have run off again. Candace giggled. She leaned over the table, inhaling deeply. Damn, this smells good. She glanced up at me. I'm starving. Kayla sighed. Thanks, Luke, God, it does smell good. As she sat down, she also giggled. Oh my God, cheeseburgers. How long has it been? I can't believe you remembered. We sat down and dived into the food. So what's on the radar for you girls today? I asked. Kayla sighed. Sleep, I reckon. My head is thumping. Candace asked me, and I shrugged. I might go for a surf. The wind is good, might clear my head. You still love to surf then? Kayla asked. Every day, if I can. Being the boss has its privileges, huh? Candace added. Yep, sure does. We finished breakfast and they gave me a hand to clean up. As we were cleaning, Kayla said, You haven't opened our present yet. They gave me a hand to strip off the gift wrapping. Sitting there was a top-of-the-line coffee machine. Stunned, I hugged them both. Thanks, but you didn't have to. Oh, stop it, Candace said. With what we charged you, it's the least we could do. Astonished, I stepped back, but Kayla jumped in. We're joking, dummy. We gave you a good deal. Could you drop us off at home, please, Luke? I don't want to go out in my gown. Candace pleaded. They stayed in the bathrobes and I dropped them off at Kayla's place. Sitting on my board, the Pacific swell caressing me, I took stock. Kayla, damn, the emotions wouldn't go down. She was funny, and even when things were tense, she still got me. The realization dawned on me, I still loved her. I probably knew that already, but accepting it. That was the hard part. It meant I had to forgive her, but it was so long ago, the anger had dissipated. The question was, could we make a go of it? She was obviously interested, and with my new realization, I knew I was. Damn it. Why did I come back to LA? The next couple of days I buried myself in work. I wanted to call Kayla. I missed her, even though it had been only days since I saw her. At night, my mind filled with images. It was clear, I needed to do something. The question was, what? Work was difficult, too. DG was pushing for more information about my new ideas, and things were tense there, as well. I was so damn close to having a prototype ready. There was no escaping giving them a preview, although I did so with the proviso I was probably going to take it to the market. That caused a stir, and suddenly I was talking to lawyers rather than company execs. Their expectations were clear. They wanted me to market through them. They offered a reduced construction cost for the units and a strong marketing strategy. The new device would fit in perfectly with the earlier models, and it would give them market share. They would be the company of choice for consumers wanting this level of gaming. I can be a stubborn prick. The harder they pushed, the more I wanted to go to market, test the waters, and hopefully push them into offering a better deal. It was Kayla who rang me. I had been trying to build the courage, but it eluded me. She rang out of the blue. Luke, would you like to go out for dinner? Why, did my check bounce? She laughed. No, I just thought you might like to go out for dinner. She sighed despondently. If you don't want to, I understand. Are we talking a date, a proper date? She snickered. Yes, a date. Dinner, dancing, the whole 9 yards? Yes, although I would have settled for a movie. I used to love when we went to the movies, snuck in our own treats. I adored those times. Won't Candace be jealous? Taken aback, I heard her sharp intake of breath. What? Why would she be jealous? Oh, I don't know. You two seemed pretty close the other night. She giggled hysterically. Sounds like you're the one who was jealous. Yeah, a little, I guess. Do you two get together often? Oh, now that would be telling, wouldn't it? If the date goes well, I might tell. But girls don't usually kiss and tell, you know. We aren't like men. We don't brag. Bragging, huh? Wow, it must have been pretty good. Well, you have slept with her. You should know. And you say girls don't tattletale. How did you know? She giggled. So is it a date? Yes, I'll pick you up at 7, and don't be late. What do you mean, don't be late? Oh, it might be a while ago, but I remember you getting ready to go out. 15 dress changes, 20 pairs of shoes. Oh, I remember. The date was amazing. It was like we turned the clock back 5 years. Like when we used to date. I think we were both cautious, circling the hard issues. We talked about work, business, friends, surfing. It was fun. Over the next few weeks we dated a lot. We started having lunch together. She called me like 10 times a day, and if it was on a night we didn't date, she called me late at night and we talked until one of us fell asleep. Work progressed quickly, and I decided to test the waters. I floated the new device to a few select companies. I was careful to stay away from organizations with links to Morse's empire. The feedback was phenomenal and the interest quickly grew. It was out of left field when I received a phone call from a guy who I didn't know. He was supposedly representing a major company. He wouldn't give details, but promised he was serious and would match any offers if the product turned out to be as good as purported. We set up a meeting at my offices. He duly arrived on time and looking every bit the salesman. I gave him a rundown and demonstration, using my own personal devices. Oh shit, man, this is good, this is real good. God damn it, boy. These images are so clear and lifelike. This shit is good. Okay, Brad, let's talk. You've seen the product. Before we take another step, I need to know, who are you representing? He sucked in a deep breath. All right, look, I would like to tell you, but I'm sworn to secrecy. I need to take back my findings to my clients and then I will set up a meeting. How does that sound? It sounds like shit. There are certain parties that I refuse to deal with. If you're trying to wedge a way in for Morse or any of his allied companies, then I can tell you right now, any deal will be off the table. Now listen, boy, don't get high and mighty with me, okay? He paced around the tiny office. Look, Luke, I don't know the history, or what went down between you and Morse, but do you mind me asking, why in the hell wouldn't you want the biggest organization in the world making and selling your product? That is my business, but I warn you. If I get any inkling that you are conning me, it will be the last time you have any dealings with me or my company. He snorted. Luke, you are delusional, my man. I have to say, you're doing yourself a disservice. Sounds like I know who you are working for. You wasted my time. Oh goddamn, boy, don't be a fool. Morse is the force in the market. He has his fingers in everything, man. You can't keep him out. You need to pull your goddamned head out of your ass. Go back and tell him, from me. No way, Jose. The shit hit the fan over the next few days. Morse really turned the blowtorch on. It got so bad I stopped going into the office because Morse's agents just kept barging in without notification or invitation. Wednesday, I was working from home when there was a knock on the door. When I opened it, Candace and Kayla greeted me with a bottle of champagne and big smiles. Can we come in? I waved them in and we ended up out on the deck. It was a beautiful afternoon. So, what brings you girls around? Do we need a reason? Kayla replied. The store was quiet, so we thought we would come around for a visit. Do you want something to eat? I asked. They were non-committal, so I made up some crackers with cheese, onion, and tomato. As they munched away on the crackers, the conversation drifted to work. What mischief have you been up to? Candace asked. Anything interesting? Nah, just the usual. There were a couple of furtive glances exchanged between the pair. Oh, nothing, huh? What have you got on the agenda for tomorrow? I chuckled. I'm going surfing with some friends. Might make it an overnighter. Hell, might even stretch it out over the weekend. Sounds wonderful, the shop's pretty quiet, could a girl get an invite? Kayla asked. Hey, what about me? Candace interjected. I would love to go, as well. You surf then? I asked. She giggled, no, but I like to laze around on the beach in a bikini. Catch some rays. Something was up, this was so out of character and unusual. I decided to cut it short. Sorry, girls, it's going to be a guy's trip. Maybe next time. Candace put on a sad, sulky face. Don't be like that. We can be good company. I'm sure, but it's a guy's trip. No girls. The conversation stalled after that. We drank the champers and relaxed. Candace tried a couple of times to turn the conversation back to what I was doing. I put up the shutters and just deflected everything back to their shop. In the end, Candace sighed deeply and said, Luke, there's a reason for our visit. We should have been honest. Rogan says you have designed some new gadget that he wants to buy and you refuse to deal with him. I nodded. Yeah, that's true. Luke, don't you think that's a bit childish? I mean, he told me he was prepared to offer you well above what you have been offered by anyone else. His company is the market leader. Doesn't it make sense to deal with the best? No, not if they can't be trusted, not if they have the morals of an alley cat. Silence sort of embraced us until Candace broke it. Luke, surely this childish grudge has dragged on long enough? I like to think we are friends, but you are making it difficult. I can't believe how petty you are behaving. You can insult me as much as you like, Candace. I find it impossible to comprehend how you think it's okay to walk into my house, enjoy my hospitality, then insult me. Maybe you should leave. Luke, I didn't mean to insult you. I just wanted to make you open your eyes. Rogan wants to work with you. He thinks you are amazing. He has tried for the last year to get close to you. Yeah, well, I told him the last time. There's no way. He needs to focus on his business. He is, Luke, he is. Honey, he thinks you are selling yourself short. Working with DG is not going to work for you. He thinks you are going to lose millions of dollars. Maybe I will, I don't care. I am happy with what they offered. I can live with my decision. I can look at myself in the mirror and like what I see. The man looking back at me is honest and has principles. Bet Morse can't say the same. Luke, Kayla whispered, I think you are letting one moment in time affect your future. I don't know much about what it is you have designed, but if Rogan is interested, doesn't it make sense to at least listen to his proposal? Nope, what's the point in wasting his time? I'm not working with a man who cannot be trusted. Candace tried to cut in, but I cut her off. Candace, I thought we were friends. You mentioned before you wanted to be friends. If that's the case, either we find something else to talk about, or I think we're done. God, you frustrate me, Luke. I know Rogan will look after you. He isn't going to screw you over. History tells me different. All he has ever done is screw me over. The man's an asshole. Kayla grimaced and stood up quickly. She spoke with a wavering voice. Candace, maybe we should leave. I don't want to let this get out of hand. She turned to me and the words were unsteady. Luke, I didn't come here to insult or offend you. I hoped we might be able to convince you to at least give Rogan a chance. Obviously, you are not in that place yet. I'm sorry we all hurt you so much. It's okay, Kayla. If we are going to remain friends, you have to respect my views. I am entitled to run my business my way. She nodded. You're right. I'm sorry if we offended you. It is difficult for us. We are stuck in the middle. We hoped we might be able to broker a deal that worked for everybody. They both came in for hugs and I walked them to the door. As they were leaving, Kayla asked, could I come back later? I could cook us a nice dinner? Yeah, that'd be nice. You have to make me one promise though. Yes? There will be no mention of Rogan's name. She leaned in for a kiss. Deal, see you later, babe. They walked off and I watched as Candace lifted her phone and began talking animatedly. That little get-together really bugged me. The man had no scruples, he would use any weapon in his arsenal to get what he wanted. He would happily burn friendships just to satisfy his unquenchable desire. I suppose that's what made him so successful, but it irked me. Kayla arrived back about 7, and she did bring food. She set about cooking us a wonderful dinner. It was awkward, though. We tiptoed around the elephant in the room. In the end, as we sat down to eat, she blurted out, Luke, I'm sorry about today. We shouldn't have berated you the way we did. We had no right to do that. Especially in your own home. Honestly, Kayla, it annoyed me. You knew how I felt about him. It annoys me that he can twist you around his finger, and it annoys me that he doesn't care. He must know that we are friends again. Otherwise, he wouldn't have tried to use you. Don't you see, that's the sort of person he is. Luke, I don't want to get into this. I just wanted to say sorry. No, I think we need to get into it. Why did you come this afternoon? Because he asked us to. He explained what happened. He acknowledged that you had designed some world-class product. He was worried that you were going to go with DG and he thought they would screw you over. He wanted to help you. Candace and I both listened to what he had to say, and thought we should try to get you two back together. Luke, I remember when you and I first met. Rogan was your idol. You had his poster on your wall. You went to anything he was involved in. You once told me it was your biggest dream to work with him. Yeah, that was before I found out what sort of man he really was. What I can't understand is, why can't you see it? What is blocking your vision? Luke, babe, I think you have let that one night totally control your whole life. Rogan is the best at what he does. You told me that yourself. His company is the biggest in the world. I think if it wasn't for that dreadful night, you would love to work with him. I probably would, but that night showed me what he's like. Kayla, I hate the guy. I will never talk to him again. I won't work with him, and I'm certainly not going to earn him money. I get it. I don't want to talk about him. I want to talk about us. Us. Go on. She swallowed as she pushed her food around her plate. Luke, since you came back into my life, I have been so happy. I have tried to express how much I love you. Today scared me. I don't want to lose you. I have been harboring a desperate hope that you might be able to forgive me and we might get back together. Today showed me how deep your resentment actually goes. Kayla, I know this is hard. It's hard for me, too. I do love you, and I have been trying to convince myself that what happened doesn't matter. That we can get past it. She said with trembling lips. And? Well, today made me wonder if that can happen. You and Rogan remain friends, and while that is the case, I don't see how we can rebuild. Luke, if it's just Rogan, I will never speak to him again. 3 will cut him out of my life, I'll do anything. I want you back, not just as a friend, I want my husband back. She stood and glided around the table. Her lips collided with mine and the garlic-infused beans tasted sweet. Her tongue stretched into my open, gasping mouth. The rest of the world stopped spinning and everything stood still. I felt her heart pounding against my chest. I felt mine matching her rhythm, our bodies falling into a sync. That burning, scintillating kiss led us into the bedroom and we made love. It was fierce, brutal, then later, slow and gentle. Throughout it all I felt her love, and I felt my soul falling. I was standing on the edge of a steep abyss, I felt the pull of her love as she dragged me over and I plunged headlong back in love with her. The morning was wonderful, waking with her in my arms, her breath mingling with mine, her body warm and comfortable. As we ate breakfast together, she asked, "Could I go with you?" "Surfing, you mean?" "Yes, I really would love to go with you." "Then come. You'll need fresh clothes, do you still have your boogie board?" She giggled. "Yes, I still have it, although I haven't used it since the last time we went out together." We went via her house and she picked up a few things. As she jumped back in the blazer, I asked, "Is Candace looking after the shop?" "No, Amelia is in charge." "Do you need to talk to her over the next few days?" Frowning, she murmured, "No, why do you ask?" "Pass me your phone." I sensed the reluctance, but she handed it over. I pulled mine out of my pocket and turned them both off. "Kayla, I want us to enjoy the next couple of days without the interference of the outside world." She smiled warmly, held out her hand, took them both and shut them in the glove box. I can't explain how amazing the next few days were. The planned 3 days turned into a week. I surfed, she played on her boogie board and lazed in the sun. We sat around bonfires, listened to music, swam, and late at night, we made love. Oh God, did we make love. It was the complete reconnection. We laughed, we sat on the beach, watched sunsets, although we didn't see many sunrises. With late nights, we slept late. It wasn't until we were on our way home that Kayla dragged the phones out of the glove box. It was a bit of a sad moment, it meant going back, re-emerging into the mayhem of the real world. Kayla turned her phone on and started laughing as it blew up in her hand. She started going through her messages. Listening to one, she moved the phone away from her ear and she grimaced painfully. She glanced at me and whispered, "Candace, wow. She's mad." As she listened to the last of her massages, she sighed. "I have to call Candace, she was worried." "Ha, more like she's pissed because she hasn't been able to use you to help more screw me over." She screwed up her face. "Luke, let's not spoil it." She was worried because we are close, and I never go anywhere without telling her where I am going. Sweets, she saved me when I was at my lowest. Please, just be kind to her. I don't care about Rogan, but don't take it out on Candace. I'm sorry, Kayla, but if she keeps pushing his wheelbarrow, I'm not going to be able to hold it in. That pisses me off. She nodded. Don't worry, I will tell her. This has been a wonderful few days. I don't want to spoil it fighting about him. I made you a promise, I will cut him out of my life, but I won't cast off the one person who helped me. She is my best friend and business partner. What I have now, I have because of her. I understand that, and I don't want you to lose your best friend. As long as she respects my choices, we will get on great. I like her, too. Once back in the offices, the chaos returned. After such an idyllic few days, returning to this really brought me down. I made the decision immediately. I called DG and told them I accepted their offer. It was probably the right thing to do. I had fallen into the trap of greed. Sheesh, we were talking millions. If I never made another cent, I could live comfortably for the rest of my life. DG moved quickly, announcing to the world that I had signed with them and they would be releasing the new format as soon as manufacturing could begin. It was big news everywhere. The headlines streamed all over the world, screaming how DG had managed to secure the rights in the face of a huge battle with Morse. DG now stood on the precipice of usurping Morse in becoming the world leaders. It gave me a lot of pleasure seeing him hurting. I did see a couple of interviews with him, and when questioned on why they didn't secure the rights, he said they were working on their own systems, and the world shouldn't buy into DG's propaganda. Their products wouldn't stand up against his. It was a media battle royal. My relationship with Kayla soared. It moved at such a furious pace. It was after only a month she moved in with me. Her place was rented out and life for us seemed perfect. The one thing I learned was how close Kayla and Candace were. Candace was at our place more than her own. At first, she did try to lecture me on not going with Morse's offer, but after Kayla shot her down she stopped. It was the start of a new relationship with her. Also, in fact, we became fast friends. After a particularly flirty night where Candace and Kayla were all over each other, kissing and cuddling, my inquisitive nature took over. Kayla and I were snuggled up in bed. All right, Kayla, how close are you and Candace? That night of my housewarming, you slept with her. Has it ever been intimate? I think she sensed my anxiety behind the question. Okay, Luke, before I answer. Would it change anything if I said yes? Do you mean between you and me? I asked. Yes, if I told you that Candace and I have been intimate, would that change your opinion of me? Would you think less of me? I could see her anxiety. Oh, hell no. I see how close you guys are, and if anything, I am envious. Not jealous, but envious. I get the feeling you talk with her about things we don't talk about. You have a connection with her that in some ways transcends ours. She swallowed, and it was a big lump of something, because I could see how nervous she was. Okay, yes. Candace and I have been intimate. How intimate? Completely, we have made love, slept together. Shared our dreams and fears. Wow, you continue to amaze me. The old Kayla, the one I married, would never have done that. No, Luke, you're wrong. I would have, but I had this feeling that you wouldn't be accepting of it. The truth is, I was always curious. I never tried it because I never met anybody I was really comfortable enough with to try. You don't have a very high opinion of me, do you? I replied ruefully. Luke, that's not what I meant. You and I never talked about this because you always seemed a bit uptight. I don't mean that in a bad way, I just didn't think you would be accepting. You can be rigid. Sighing softly, I murmured, you're probably right. What happens now? Are you going to hate Candace because we got together? No, it happened while we were apart. I have no issues with that. She is still my friend, Luke. Yes, I understand that. I can see why you would be attracted to her. Giggling, Kayla replied, yeah, she is something else. It feels weird that we have both slept with her. That night of my party, did you do it? When I walked past in the morning, you were locked in a pretty steamy embrace. She swallowed again and I saw her searching for what to say. After a few minutes of consideration, she said, "We didn't have sex, not full-on sex. We kissed and cuddled. Honestly, we might have, but we were both too drunk." "So you're saying you were going to?" "Luke, we didn't plan to. Sometimes with us, it just happens." "What about now, do you still have expectations?" "No," she snapped. "Luke, you have to believe me. I would never cheat. Candace and I have talked about it. We do love each other, but she understands your principles don't allow for that." Giving her a biting glare, I said, "But you would like to have a sexual relationship with her?" "I don't know, Luke. I don't want anything in the world to get in the way of our relationship. I never again want to put that at risk. Be honest with me, Kayla." I asked if you would like to be able to have an ongoing sexual relationship with Candace. "Luke, all I want is for you and me to have a happy life." "So you have no desire to continue to be with Candace?" "Luke, can we please leave this?" "Shit, I wish I hadn't told you now." "Kayla, this is important. How can we have a fulfilling relationship if you aren't being completely content, or even satisfied?" "Luke, Candace offered me something that I needed at the time. Now, I have you back in my life. I don't need that. I am perfectly happy and totally satisfied with my life." It didn't answer my question, but we were just going round in circles. Since we reconnected, this was the first time I sensed she was lying. People like Robin don't lose. It didn't take long after DG released the information to the world about their new upcoming launch that rumors of a big buyout started to circulate. I suppose it was bound to happen. He was so determined to maintain his position, he wasn't going to let DG shade him. He wanted to control the market. Within 2 months the deal was done, Morse merged with DG and they now fell under his growing umbrella. It pissed me off, but it wasn't something I could change. What I could do was pull my support. I sold them the technology, the designs, and patents. What I didn't sell was my knowledge. I was already working on the next stage. This was something that would continue to develop, and I already had ideas. I had shared with DG the basic concept of what I wanted to do and where we could take the ongoing development. I pulled back. I stayed at my offices and stuck to myself. I missed the team at DG, a couple of the other programmers, and I had built a pretty tight working relationship, and their skills meshed well with mine. Not having them to bounce ideas of would slow me down. Kayla picked up on it straight away. "You don't go into the DG offices much these days." "Nah, well, they're not DG anymore. Now they're just part of Morse's organization." "But I thought you were working on the next big thing?" "I think I remember you saying what you were working on would make the existing systems old and redundant. You were going to conquer the world." "I'm still developing it. I'm just not doing it for him. It will take me longer by myself, but I will still get there." "Don't you think it's time to bury the hatchet, Sweets? Let bygones be bygones?" "Kayla, we talked about this. I will never work for Morse." I rasped loudly. "I was just saying, don't bite my head off." Candace was around over the weekend. Kayla prepared a big dinner and we were talking as we always did. A few drinks had disappeared and we were feeling no pain. Talk eventually slipped around to work, and Candace teased me. "Well, I guess you should have sold to Rogan. He ended up with it anyway." "Yeah, well, it must have cost him a shitload." She giggled. "Yes, no thanks to you." He was pretty angry. "Good, then mission accomplished." Kayla poured us more drinks. And Candace made her announcement. "Look guys, I have been dying to tell somebody. Rogan wants to keep it quiet until he's ready to make it public, but I can't wait. I have to tell somebody. He asked me to marry him." Kayla sprang to her feet and dragged Candace into a huge hug. They bounced around like crazy schoolgirls. "Oh my God. When's the wedding?" "We haven't decided yet. Not for a while. Rogan is pretty busy nailing down this new merger. It's taking a lot of his time. I was stunned and sitting there, mouth hanging open. Well, aren't you going to congratulate me? She giggled happily. Shaking my head to clear the fog, I nodded. Yeah, sorry. Yes, congratulations. I'm happy for you. The girls went off on a crazy giggling explosion of joyous emotions. They started talking about dresses, and that's when Candace said, Kayla, I want you to be my maid of honor. I thought Kayla was going to burst. Oh yes, yes, yes. I would love to. Candace glanced at me, looking past Kayla's enveloping arms. Luke, it sort of means you have to be there, as well. I can't have my maid of honor without a partner. She's a big girl. She can look after herself. The dancing stopped and Kayla glared at me angrily. Luke, you can't be serious. You have to go. No, I don't. I do. And have to do anything. Look, I'm happy for you, Candace. I know how much you think of Morse. I'm just not going. Candace's face hardened and her dissatisfaction became apparent. Luke, I always thought you were a decent guy. Confused and misguided, but a decent guy. I thought we were friends. Candace, we are friends. At least, I count you as my friend, but you know how I feel about Morse. God, don't be so infantile. Jesus, Luke, you can't even say his name. His name is Rogan. Shit, you don't have to talk to him, there will be other people you know there. You can't let Kayla go alone. Kayla added her pleading. Please, Luke. We are a couple, partners. You aren't going there to support Rogan, you're going to support Candace, my best friend and business partner. This silly grudge has gone on long enough. I tried to get out of it, but there was no escaping the pair of them. In the end, I folded and agreed to go. The worldwide announcements were made, and the arrangements began. If Candace spent a lot of her time at our place before, after the announcement, she was like a permanent attachment. They spent hours going through bridal catalogs, venues, caterers. Hour after hour, planning and scheming. If they weren't at home planning, they were at dress fittings, wedding venues, churches. I guess the one thing it gave me was time. My new latest designs began to make sense, the new logic worked better, and the clunkiness eased. Candace walked in one day while I was in the third bedroom, which I had converted to an office so I could work from home. She poked her head in. Hey, Spunky. Kayla said to tell you you're cooking dinner. She's going to be late. I nodded, yeah, okay. She leaned in further, staring at the screen. Whatcha doing? My new design. This is going to blow the market apart. Everything else is going to look old after this comes out. Wow, you're like one of those evil geniuses, aren't you? Stuck in here working at the newest big thing. Yeah, I suppose I am. What are you going to do with this one? I don't know. I'll shop around, see what sort of deal I can get. Luke, don't take this the wrong way, but why not just tell Rogan? Get him and his team involved. You know he won't be beaten. He will end up with it anyway. Candace, I will sell it. What the new owners do with it is something out of my control. So you are going to sell it, make a pittance, then let the new owners make a killing. It doesn't make sense. I know Rogan is dying to work with you. He knows how damn good you are. He thinks that with your evil genius qualities and his team behind you, the world is your oyster. You could make 10 times what you would make marketing it yourself. Maybe, but I don't want to work with him. Ah, man, you really know how to make your own life miserable. Still, it's your funeral. I wanted to talk about my hen's party, she added when I didn't respond. Yeah, what about it? Well, I want to pack up all the girls and go to Vegas for a weekend. Are you okay with that? Why wouldn't I be? Oh, I don't know, Luke, it's just you can be a little uptight, inflexible. We will be drinking and having fun. I don't want it to cause grief between you and Kayla. And what were you going to do if I say? I would prefer Kayla not go? She grimaced, I hoped you wouldn't say that. I hoped you guys might be on solid enough ground that you would trust her. I do trust her, not so much, but I trust Kayla. If she wants to go, then she can go. Candace swung off the doorframe, leaned in and kissed me. Thank you, Spunky. As she pulled back, she smiled, leaned forward, and this time when she kissed me, it wasn't a sweet friendly kiss. Her tongue slithered licentiously into my mouth. It swirled, dancing playfully with mine. Her hand rifled through my hair, her boobs pressing on my shoulder. My heart stopped and she let it go on, her succulent lips nibbling and nuzzling mine, her tongue probing, assaulting. When she stood up I was left gasping and she panted. Wow, you are a great kisser. I always liked that about you. She turned and walked out, leaving me gulping in air, trying to breathe. Jesus, I moaned under my breath. Kayla came home later and I already had the dinner on the table. She gave me a luxurious scintillating kiss. Wow, dinner smells good. As we ate, she asked, Did Candace give you my message? I nodded, yeah, and she mentioned about the hens party. Oh right. What did you say? What could I say? It's already decided by the sounds of it. No, Luke, it's not. I told her I wasn't sure how you would feel about it. I said if you weren't okay, then we would have to do something else. Kayla, it's fine. I trust you. There's no problem. She smiled and came and sat on my lap. Thank you, sweets. I love you. While she sat on my knee, I cringed, the guilt weighing me down. Kayla, there's something I need to tell you. She leaned back a little. Sounds ominous. Candace kissed me, I'm sorry. I should have pushed her away. What? When did this happen? Tonight when she came around. I'm sorry. It was a real kiss, not just a kiss? If it was one of her usual flirty things I wouldn't mention it. This was a full-on passionate kiss. Kayla leaned back in and kissed me again. Hers, putting Candace's effort to shame. It was full of desire and all the passion, but it carried love and affection. Afterwards, she giggled. It's fine, sweets. I'm not angry. At least you told me. Oh my god, it was a test for some stupid game, wasn't it? Yes, sorry babes. We were playing. Candace said she could get you to kiss her. That's not what happened. She kissed me. I just didn't push her away. Luke, I don't care. I am happy you both get on so well. An occasional kiss is not the end of the world. Yeah, but it wasn't right. I would be angry if I caught you kissing some other guy the way she kissed me. You and I are different. If it had been somebody else, and it was you kissing her, then maybe I would be upset. Wow, you are a whole lot more forgiving than me. She giggled. Oh yeah, I know that, babes. God, I know that. In the lead up to the hens party, Kayla home from work one day and she seemed a bit uncomfortable. She flitted around the house like she had something she wanted to say. It was obviously making her uncomfortable. That in turn made me squirm. I didn't like the images my mind threw up as possibilities. It was after dinner I walked past the office. She was seated at my desk with the door pushed shut, but not latched. She was on the phone, and although I could hear only her side of the conversation, I heard enough to make me even more uncomfortable. No, I haven't asked him yet. Some giggling. No, God no, why are you being so mean? More giggling. No, he's not going to go for it, you know it as well as I do, what's more? He will get angry with me. That was enough, I walked away thinking the worst. It was as we got ready for bed that she asked. Luke, Rogan is having his stag party this weekend. He asked if you wanted to go. What? That's why you've been tiptoeing around. No, I don't want to go, but thanks for asking. I climbed into bed. She snuggled up beside me. Babe, they're flying down to Cabo in his private jet. Ha, his private jet, ha. What was that like? She flinched a little. The one thing we had never talked about were the details of that dreaded night. It was nice, you would love it. Full bar, comfy seats. It's great. Her smile twitched. So did you join the Mile High Club? Her body went taut, and although she was snuggled behind me, I heard her sharp intake of breath. There was no answer. I'll take that as a yes, shall I? Luke. Good fuck was it? Did you get a badge? Luke, this isn't helpful. I'm sorry I mentioned it. No, come on, I want to know. Now that we're talking about this. Did you do it on that damn plane? I sat up and turned to face her. I felt her sit up beside me. I don't want to talk about this. It's not going to help anything. Why do you want to know? I want to know. I watched in the dark as her face took on a determined set. Okay, you want to know. Yes, we had sex on his plane. Happy now? Did you use condoms? Yes, of course we did, I'm not an idiot. Did you have sex again down there? Yes, we did. I heard the waver in her voice, and little sniffles as she tried to wipe away tears. Was it good? What? Come on, Luke, why are we dragging up all this shit? It was your idea. Now I want to know. Was he good in bed? Did you come? She turned and shoved me hard, her fist pummeling my shoulder. You want to know? She snarled. I heard her break down and her sobs flooded her arms as she tried to wipe away the torrent. Is that what you wanted to hear? Her body shuddered as she cried. I sat staring into the darkness, feeling like a total ass. I couldn't speak, my mouth dried up and I lay back down, pulling the blankets up. I rolled to the very edge of the bed. She climbed out of bed and walked into the bathroom to try and regather her senses. I tried to hold back the tears I felt building. Thankfully, by the time she was back climbing into bed, I had control. She climbed in, and like me, rolled to the very edge of the bed, and even although her breathing was even, I knew she wasn't asleep. We lay like that for what felt like hours. When the alarm went off, I felt like I had barely closed my eyes. Climbing out of bed, I noticed Kayla was already gone. I decided to go into my offices. It had been a few days since I had been in. It was nearly lunchtime when my phone rang, and I answered without thinking. You stupid fucking dick, Candace's voice screamed at me. What the fuck were you thinking? What the fuck would you do that? Jesus, Luke, you're a fucking idiot, a childish fucking idiot. Yeah, well fuck you too, bitch. Let's not forget that was your fucking fault. God damn it, Luke, I thought you were past all that. Shit. So did I, turns out I'm not. She started going on about me going on fucking Dick Wad's stag party, and when she brought up about his private jet, it all came out and I couldn't hold it in. Luke, Kayla's been bawling all morning. You need to come and apologize, right now. What for? For being a horse's ass, that's what for. For heaven's sake. What does it matter what happened between her and Rogan? What the hell difference does it make? Okay, they had sex. Fucked, call it what you want. He's a good lover, kind and considerate. That means she had fun. For the love of God, would you prefer she hated it? Yeah, actually that might have been easier to hear. Luke, you and I had sex, I enjoyed it, I know you enjoyed it. Wouldn't you like to know that Kayla's experience was the same? I couldn't answer. Yeah, okay, I was jealous, and I hated the fact that Rogan was able to rock her world. He had the whole damn planet at his fingertips. You would think at least he could have sucked at that. Are you listening to me, Luke? Yeah, I hear ya. I'll come down and take her to lunch. Good, and don't fuck it up. Walking into her shop, I saw her behind the counter, and seeing her smiling and talking to a customer made me remember why I loved her. She was that way with everybody. She could see the good in everything. She never complained, she never talked shit about anybody, and God help anybody she heard say a bad thing about me. Our eyes met as I walked towards the counter, and I saw her happy smiling face sink like the Titanic. What do you want, Luke? I want to say sorry. Last night I was a jerk. Yes, I was jealous, and I shouldn't have said all that shit. I said I forgive you, and I need to put that into practice. I'm truly sorry. She smiled, it was thin, and her bottom lip trembled. Thank you for saying that, but that hurt last night. I mean, really hurt. I think it hurt because I should never have done it. I made a huge mistake, and I keep trying to forget it, and just when I think we are in a good space, boom, something happens, and we're right back at the start. I'm sorry, Luke. Could we go somewhere for lunch? I asked. We ended up at our favorite cafe overlooking the Pacific. We had one of those fabulous moments. A moment where we didn't actually talk, we just basked in having her sit beside me. I absorbed her. We smiled a lot, we laughed for no reason. When I dropped her off back at her shop, we kissed. It was the kiss that stopped time. Her mouth tasted of the sweet custard tart she had for dessert, her tongue played and danced with mine. I'm not sure if my heart did actually stop, but it sure felt like it. She never did ask me again if I wanted to go with Rogan. They went off on their hen's party. I got videos and endless phone calls, drunken silly stupid calls. The last one was at 4 in the morning. I kept working towards finalizing my designs and trying to get the logic to stick. The lead up to the wedding was uncomfortable. Listening to Candace and Kayla arranging seating charts, it became obvious that we were going to be seated with them at the head table. No amount of complaining would make them change their minds. The wedding went off without a hitch. Candace looked spectacular. Kayla looked exquisite. It wasn't until we arrived at the reception that things got awkward. Of course, there was no escaping Rogan. Even with the 1.5 million people jammed into the convention center. He seemed to be everywhere I went. I did my best to ignore him, but it proved impossible. We sat at their table, thankfully we were separated by Candace. It meant I didn't have to deal with him. It was when the dancing started that things got awkward. Candace asked me to dance, and I said no. Kayla was sitting beside me and overheard. Luke, don't be an asshole. It's her wedding, you are her friend. Dance with her. I leaned in close and said. Nope, I'm saving all my dances for you, babe. If you're worried I'll dance with Rogan, I promise you I haven't hardly even spoken to him. Please dance with her. Candace slipped easily into my arms and we circulated around amongst the dancing guests. She nestled in close and rested her head on my chest. You're a smooth mover, Luke. Bullshit, I'm a terrible dancer. She giggled. Yes you are, but you're my friend. Yes, we are friends, and I'm glad to call you that. As we danced she whispered, God, I love that man. Look at him up there talking to all those men. He is so confident and has so much belief in himself. I sighed, yeah, he's a cocky bastard all right. No, you completely misunderstood what I was saying. Yeah, well, come on then, educate me. She sucked in a big breath. Okay, here goes. Look at that group of men he's standing with, laughing, joking. Do you see them? I replied, confused at where she was going. Would you be shocked if I told you I had sex with every single one of those men, at one time or another, and Rogan knows it? I didn't say anything, she let that sink in before she added. That's the difference between you and him. He has complete belief in himself. He's comfortable knowing I slept with those men, and he doesn't care. You can't even look him in the eye. Christ, I thought you were going to melt when he offered to shake your hand, and why? Because he slept with your wife. There's a bit of difference, Candace. He knew what you were doing and accepted it. I didn't. Look, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just saying you could learn something from him. If you had the same belief in yourself, nothing else would matter. I know that Kayla and Rogan would like to dance, they're friends. The only reason they haven't talked much in the last 6 months is you are so insecure, you won't let them. That's a sign of a weak man, Luke. Her words stung, and I looked up at the table. Kayla sat by herself, but there were furtive glances between the two. Kayla, for her part, just chatted with the other guests. Fuck Candace and her cheap shitty philosophy. It did hurt though, thinking that she thought so little of me. Maybe she was right. I was intimidated by him. I felt he was just a lucky cocky bastard. He managed to manipulate people. Why they couldn't see it amazed me. People like the CEO from DG, he had been screwed over by Rogan, and yet here they were chatting like long-lost buddies. Fuck, were they that superficial and that good as actors? With a final kiss I said, "Let's go back, shall we?" Walking back to the table, she leaned against me, leaned in and kissed me. "We could dance later when the lights go out." "Oh yeah, and your new husband is not going to be happy about that." She laughed. "You'd be surprised, Luke. He really lies you for some reason. It's because I'm so charming." "Oh yeah, you're just a bundle of fucking joy." With a final kiss she went off to talk to Rogan. Sitting down, Kayla slipped her arm around my waist and we moved the chairs closer. "You looked so sexy dancing with Candace." "No, she looked sexy, I just did my best not to trip her up." "Dumbass, you looked good." "Well, maybe we should go out and show them how to do it?" She gave me a quick kiss, then stood up, grabbing my hand and dragging me out onto the floor. We circulated smoothly, our bodies melded together. It felt so good having her in my arms. Every time we moved past the head table I saw Candace watching us intently. She certainly was a gorgeous sexy creature, but her words earlier ate away at me. I hated thinking that she was right, but with every lap, I felt the weight of her words. As the band stopped for a break, Kayla and I went back to the table. Candace came down and sat beside us, and she and Kayla fell into a giggling conversation about the honeymoon. Some of the other bridesmaids turned up and they all gathered as a group. I wandered off to chat with a few guys who I knew. My old CEO from DG. He was more interested in my current project than anything. Rumors were already doing the rounds. I was dragged from the conversation by a tap on my shoulder. "Hello, Luke." "Simon, I'd like to say nice to see you, but fuck it. I don't want to lie to you." He snorted. "You still got your panties in a knot over that. Jesus, son, grow up." I was going to walk away when he said, "Pal, I just wanted to say well done. I always knew you'd do well. You were always one step ahead of the rest. Good job, that's all I wanted to say." He stuck out his hand and we shook. "Luke, I would like a chance to work together at some point." "Not likely, Simon. I'm not looking for any alliances. If you change your mind, you know where we are." I guess this was one part of the business I couldn't do, working with people I had zero respect for. Fuck that shit. Standing at the bar, I got another pat on the back. "Hello, Luke." I knew the voice and didn't want to turn. "Hey, Rogan. Thanks for coming along, pity you didn't come on the bachelor's trip. It was pretty amazing." "Yeah, I was kind of busy. Had to get my nails done." "Luke, I was hoping tonight we might actually be able to talk. No anger, no resentment. I was hoping you might have been able to move on with your life. We have all apologized enough. If you can't let the past go, I worry for how you will ever make it in the world." I sniggered. "I'm doing all right, I'm not complaining." "Yeah, but you could be doing better, much better." "What, by working for you?" "No, Luke, not for me, but with me. I don't want to be your boss. I want to be a colleague. I see your talent. I know how damn smart you are. I want to work with you, not against you." "Bullshit," I snarled as I waved to the barman. "Scotch, please." Rogan stepped up beside me and leaned on the bar, our elbows touching. "Luke, you're an extraordinary young man. I think together, we could do exceptional things. Candace told you about my latest project, huh?" He shook his head. "Actually she did, but that's not why I want you in our team. You have proven that you never rest on your laurels. You're always looking for improvements. We work in an industry that moves at light speed. By the time we have released one thing, the next best is already being released. We need men like you. That's the problem, Rogan. I can't work for somebody I don't respect. You seduced my wife, with no regard to what happens afterwards. You didn't care if it meant we ended up divorced. You didn't care that she contemplated suicide. Fuck, you just don't care. You're a narcissist. Look, God damn it, Luke. Christ almighty. How many fucking times do I have to say sorry? I fucked up alright. With a shake of his head, he added. I read you wrong. Jesus, Luke, wake up. You have slept with my wife, and from all accounts enjoyed it. Not surprising though, I did tell you she's the best. He ordered a whiskey as he leaned on the bar beside me. I sipped mine, enjoying the bitter bite. He stared at me, his gaze unflinching, not even a blink. It was a game I played a lot when I was a child. I enjoyed the pressure. I kept my eyes focused, even as I sipped my scotch. He laughed, turning away. Oh, you're good, not many stare me down. Good job. He reached out glass in hand in a salute. Luke, could we somehow start again? I have this feeling that you and I are going to bump into each other a lot in the future. Those women of ours are joined at the hip. I followed his gaze up to where Kayla and Candace were immersed in a hug as the pair danced with the other bridesmaids in a little group up behind the table. I'm not sure about starting again, but I will try to be polite. He laughed. Polite, is that the best you can do? At the moment, yeah, afraid so. He slammed his empty glass on the bar. I guess it's a start. He stuck out his hand to shake. I returned his physical handshake, although he couldn't help leaning in and patting my arm with his free hand. Let's have another drink. What are you having? We leaned with our backs on the bar staring up at the girls. God, aren't they a sight? Yeah, you're a lucky man. Well, I'm not the only one. Kayla is a wonderful woman. She is not only beautiful, but she did a hell of a job starting of her business. I admired that. Yeah, she did all right. He sniggered, all right, Christ, Luke. That business was shit when she brought it. When Candace told me what they were doing, I was horrified. I tried to talk her out of it, but she was adamant. I thought it was just guilt, and she admitted that was part of it, but she liked Kayla and wanted some sort of legitimate business. Look at them now. I nodded, not knowing much about Kayla's start. The new revelation made me even more impressed. With our drinks finished, Rogan slammed his empty glass down and stated, I'm going to dance with my beautiful bride. He strode off, head held high as if he owned the world. I chuckled to myself. He probably did. I had a beer before I wandered with a mild stagger back to the table where Kayla stood talking to the other girls. When I walked up to her, I grabbed her around the waist and spun her into my arms. She smiled wide as I leaned in for a scintillating kiss. I love you, Kayla. She giggled a little, drunk as well. And I love you more. We sat down at the table, and I noticed her eyes following Candace and Rogan as they danced together. She squeezed my arm. She is so beautiful, isn't she? Yeah, she sure is. Not as beautiful as you, but she's all right. She kissed me, thank you for your lies. That's no lie, Kayla. You are the sexiest, most fabulously beautiful woman in the world. She kissed me again. Well, I'm glad you at least feel that way. It's not just me, my sweet. Remember, Rogan chose you over her one night. He's supposed to be a good judge of what he likes. She frowned a little as she stared up into my eyes. That was the first time I had used his name, or tried to make a joke out of what happened that night. She kissed me again. Thank you, my sexy husband. I feel so blessed having you by my side. Kayla, saying I love you doesn't really cover this. It is like we have been given a second chance, and I have to say, falling in love with you for a second time has been the most amazing experience. I feel like we are in space, maybe Tom Petty summed it up, free falling. She leaned in and kissed me passionately, her legs sliding over mine as she moved onto my lap. Her arms curled around my neck and we kissed. She leaned in whispering in my ear. You know, if you undid your zipper and moved my panties aside. I could show you how much I love you right here and now. I laughed. Right here, huh? Oh yeah, babe, you could fuck me, the lights are low, nobody would even know. Oh, I think your screams might give it away. She giggled as she squirmed around, rubbing herself on my very hard erection. It was later, the night winding down. The lights were dimmed, the band playing some slow sleazy numbers. Kayla and I were among a few people dancing to the jazzy tunes. She was nestled so close, her ass cheeks filling my hands as she ground herself against me. Her arms tight around my neck, when I felt the tap on my back. I turned to find Candace, who was half in the arms of Rogan. You promised me a dance. Kayla giggled as she slid out of my arms and gave me a little push. Go on, horny. You know you want to. Candace didn't give me a chance to object. Her arms quickly encircled my neck, her body fitting like a blanket. She giggled, you dirty man, you've got a hard-on already. What do you expect? I turned to see Rogan standing beside Kayla staring at us. Candace whispered. She's not going to dance with him, unless you say it's okay. She promised, remember. Maybe it was the good vibes, the feel of Candace's hot body, I don't know. I moved us back towards Kayla, and said, well, don't just stand there. You know you want to. She grinned, but seemed reluctant. Are you sure? I'm sure. She moved into his arms and we danced side by side for the remainder of the night. Candace took great pleasure in mashing her body against me. She teased with wet nibbles on my ear. You are a very lucky man, Luke. She loves you like nothing on earth. If you ever hurt her, I will hunt you down and kill you painfully. Candace and Rogan escaped to start their new life together. Kayla and I walked out towards our waiting cab. I slipped my arm around her waist, she leaned in close and I hummed Free Falling. Yep, falling in love a second time might be even better. The end.